Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. Well, I had to drag myself out of bed this morning. My apologies for the tardiness, everyone. Right? So, first, happy Indigenous and Native American Slaughter Day. Get y'all muskets out and your guns and your rifles and go kill some buffaloes just because that's what Native Americans and Indigenous folks sustain themselves on. And yeah, and don't forget the Trail of Tears, and don't forget the land confiscation, and don't forget the writing of treaties that you're gonna eventually break, and don't forget the smallpox and the diseases on blankets. Yeah, right. So don't forget all of that. Um, yeah, did I talk about the confiscation of land already? Let's say that one more time. Did I talk about the thing of land already? Oh yeah, that part. That part. Yeah, yeah. All of that. Oh, and don't forget all the missing indigenous women like now. I'm not talking about 200 years ago. I'm talking about now. Right? So yeah, there's all of that. Oh, and yeah. Anyway, y'all go enjoy y'all turkey on these people's land. Once again, like I said yesterday, I already know about the brothers and sisters that feel like black people were originally here and they manipulated us and tricked us into believing that we were brought over from Africa and where's the slave ships. Mr. Z has already had these debates multiple times. No. Okay. Okay. Yes. So FD Signifier, our favorite pro-black progressive, um, did a video called Swirlnomics, right? Or did a think piece called Swirlnomics. First, let's applaud this brother on what he got right. He got a lot of things right. He got a lot of things right. He brought up Garvey. He brought up Dr. Umar Johnson. I think FD Signifier, Feek, and Dr. Umar Johnson have far more in common than y'all think. Um, I do see FD Signifier as being quote unquote pro black. I think he's coming from the left with it. Um, I think he has a concept of self determination for black people in however they show up that I think is a bit whimsical, right? I understand as a lefty myself why he put it this way. You have to establish structure first, and you have to tell people what they not gonna do, and you might have to dictate. And I think that Feek might believe in that in his own family, in his own home. You see this, okay. I see a difference in the way, a slight distinction in the way the funky academic comes in from at it and how Feek comes in at it. I think Feek is probably a great father, and I think he implements this in his own home, but he doesn't believe in doing that to other black people, which is, nah, bro, we going this way, and we're going this way, and that's the way we going. And if you got a problem with it, then you're gonna have to see these hands, right? And yes, we're gonna do the whole self-determination, and you go ahead and freestyle and do whatever you want to do with whoever you want to do it on the other side of liberation and freedom. But while we on this side, oh no, there's some rules and regulations that will be implemented. In other words, you don't have the luxury of feeling and doing whatever the hell you want to do while we're here. When we get over there to the promised land, maybe. Right? And I think that's a issue that a lot of black lefties have because they think you could freestyle and do whatever you want to do now in this current environment with black people being in the position they are now. And I think oftentimes that's where you get the this kind of and this is one of the issues that I have when I was speaking about white feminists, right? Where white feminists have all these theories and these ideas and all this love is love and patriarchy, anti-patriarchy, anti-male this, anti-male that, and then they turn around and marry the white men that either literally are those men or benefit from their fathers and grandfathers and great grandfathers being those men. So these white men get to play like they much softer, or they are the type of men that these white women, these softer, more pliable, more quote unquote liberal or progressive white men that these white women think they are. But that's only because he's literally living off of a pile of dead bones. That is the oppression of other people that his fathers, grandfathers, and great grandfathers enacted on others, right? But the black women, working class, poor, middle class, lower middle class black women that attempt to adopt the same ideology as these white feminists don't get what these white feminists get. In other words, the marriage to the stable man or above stable man, right? White patriarchal bliss in the suburbs, etc., etc. What I'm saying is a lot of black lefties have these theories and these ideas, but then when you try to implement them on working class, working poor, lower middle class black people, particularly black women, it doesn't work out for them. They literally need partnership with men. I said partnership for a reason, right? They need it. Unlike those of you black women who with all this ideology and you're earning 80 plus $1,000 a year and you could sustain yourself by yourself financially, right? 80 plus 100, 120, 150, maybe even a few $100,000 a year. You can have all these theories. You, Miss Ebony K. Williams, you, Miss Kim Foster, can afford to have a child by yourself, raise that child by yourself. You have the connections to put that child in great environments, even with no man. All your theories sound nice, but everyone south of you, all the women, black women that you claim to advocate for, are not in that position. So your theories sound nice in a vacuum. I'm saying that to say I see where FD signifier is coming from. I respect the brother once again. Great production. It was funny watching him use the white dude as the to speak up the titles, right? To speak on the titles and give the titles for the different chapters. That was funny. Um, the brother goes on and I gotta applaud him for this. He speaks about the different. He actually says what we say here, like black men, white women marriages are not like as common, right? He shows even more recent, which is about 5 or 6 years old now, Pew Research data that show like black people still marry when they do get married, black people still marry at 82%. He said what Mr. Z been saying and other black people, black men in the black manosphere have been saying. He spoke about that that black people marry within race second highest to white folks, right? Once again, Mr. Z has been saying this. The black manosphere has been saying this. He speaks about how the most common interracial marriages are between white men and Latina women. Once again, we understand Latino it's not really a race like that, right? Shout out to Mr. Research. We've had this conversation on Shay Sade's channel once. So he also says, and the second most common interracial marriage in America is between white men and Asian women. Once again, right? So I see how FD signifier. I see what he's doing here, and he's trying to like pretty much tell black women and other non-black people. And I actually appreciate what he did here, which is saying we see the overrepresentation of interracial marriages and relationships in the media and how that's all about money, how that's all about advertisement, how that's all about once again, virtue signaling and making money. 2, that's a piss poor idea that's coming from white execs, white advertisers, white liberals to show, look, we're a good, safe country. Look, we always in racial relationship, represented in the media, particularly black man, white woman commercials and television shows, right? And he breaks down like, okay, if only 12, excuse me, if 82% of black people that are married, right? So once again, if 82% of black people that are married to other black people, then why is it when we do see black people coupled up on television, over 50% of it is with non-black people, particularly white people, right? So I gotta applaud him for that, right? Now, let's get into some of the things I had an issue with. Y'all can't keep on hitting black women with kid gloves. Jesus Christ, for the love of God. Look, man, as a black man, part of the black manosphere, this is one of the things we have this drives at least Mr. Z. I don't know about the rest of y'all. Mr. Z up the wall. Number one, let's address this. FD Signifier brought up something that he thinks that we don't already know and we haven't spoken about in the black manosphere, which is, when black women and white men marry, they have a lower divorce rate than black man with white woman. Who files for divorce, FD Signifier, in America? Who files for divorce? Women. At what percent? About 70 to 80%, somewhere in there, right? In other words, black women, you trying to tell me black women are going to marry white men and then divorce them? Get out of here. In a white supremacist country on a white dominated planet? Huh? Another thing, FD Signifier speaks of, how black women have been a bit more loyal than black men. It's not loyalty. FD Signifier, brother, please read The Dating Divide. Watch the interviews with Dr. Jennifer Lundquist and Dr. Chantel Buggs. There's one with Dr. Jennifer Lundquist by herself being interviewed, and then there's another interview on YouTube with Dr. Jennifer Lundquist and Dr. Chantel Buggs. These are two non-black people. As a matter of fact, I think Dr. Chantel Buggs is mixed. But all the authors of this book are non-black men, so there ain't no black men anywhere near this book. These women, PhDs, speak about how white people see the advances of non-black people and they ignore them. Number one. Number two, they speak about how white men, everything in the dating scene revolves around white men. In other words, women respond first to white men. So when black men, Latino men, Asian men, white men attempt to attract or pull any woman, women, that includes black women. I didn't just say white women. Women respond first to white men and then to men of their respective races. Unlike black men, in other words, black men seek to be in relationship or at least date black women first. Right? Y'all gotta stop doing this. And this is a thing, and you're watching Dr. Richard Reeves do this also, which is in order for me to address something concerning women that may not be so flattering, where I might have to be a bit critical, I gotta throw them in all the way under the bus before I could say something even the slightest bit critical of the women. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I'm tired of it, bro. I'm tired of it. Before we could say anything just marginally, just a teeny tiny bit critical of the women, we gotta throw them in all the way under the bus. Then we gotta back the bus up, roll over them again, and then put the bus back in drive and roll over them one more time for good measure. And then we can say something marginally critical of women. Right? FD Signifier, let's be very clear, something you already know. It's not that black women are more loyal, is that white men ain't checking. Latino men are too colorist and racist. That's Latino men. South and East Asian men, get out of here. They're even worse than white men. Let's stop with the black women are more loyal. No, these non-black men are first maybe just not interested. That's what the numbers show. They're just not interested. And number two, they're too damn racist and colorist. and features and textures. You know all the things that black women accuse black men of being. Let's stop, right? So, and y'all give me a second. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. All right, and we're back. Um, so this is one of the things you want to know what grinds my gears. This really grinds Mr. Z's gears. This idea of we're gonna always and we definitely do this in the black community, right? For us to just critique women, just a smidge, just a teeny tiny bit, we got to throw black men under the bus first. We got to insult them, belittle them. We got to backhand them a couple of times, and then after we show black men that we are fully willing to be men, then we can critique them just in the slightest. Always tying it back to, see, I just first, right? So let me give you a little power, right? It's like having children. You have a son and a daughter. Before you could give your daughter a little pow pow on her wrist, you got to damn there put your son into a coma. What the hell? Just to show you, I'm not being sexist. I'm not being misogynistic. Let me speak about your fake ass loyalty, your faux loyalty to black men because you have no other choice. FD, what you didn't bring up is all them same-sex loving relationships black women are in because they don't got no damn choice. It's either black men or, well, same-sex loving relationships with other black women. You didn't bring up the fact that black women are more bisexual than any other group and more same-sex loving than any other group in America because they don't got no damn choice. It's black men or, well, black women. Right? You didn't. Oh, I'm borging. Oh, why am I always bored? Okay. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Let me get a one in the chat if y'all can hear me. Because Lion said I'm borging. Well, let's see. Am I borging now, everyone? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay. Let me get a one in the chat if y'all can hear me. I don't see no numbers yet. Okay, we got a one. We got a one. All right, all right. Yeah. So this is a real thing, and it's not that I'm saying that same sex loving relationships are bad or anything like that. That's a conversation for another day. But what I am saying is we have to be honest about political lesbianism in the black community, right? We have to be honest about political lesbianism in the black community and how way more black women are practicing this without really realizing it, right? In other words, if you were to tell them, "Oh, you practicing political lesbianism," they'd be like, "What the hell is that?" But they're doing it. In other words, F black men, I'm gonna go date out. Goddamn, these dudes are racist. Okay, then I'm back in the black community. But F black men still, I guess I'm with black women. And is it as conscious as Mr. Z is saying? For most black women, I would argue not. But are they engaging in this with that sentiment? Absolutely. An FD signifier, if you said you grew up in the outskirts of Chicago, which I believe, there's no way you don't know Mr. Z is telling the truth. There's absolutely no way. Right? There's absolutely no way that and I think you're around Atlanta right now, right? If you're living around Atlanta right now and you're coming out of Chicago, brother, there's no way. And this is how I know, FD, right? The funniest thing in the world is watching black people who have authentically black experiences, ADOS black people on top of that. And then they act like you don't know what you're talking about, right? You know these black women out here eating vagina as an act of defiance to black men, as a middle finger to black men. Fine, if I can't get the white man, I'll date other women. And you, as a matter of fact, you hear this is why I love social media. Ooh, you hear black women saying it more and more. Shout out to Compassion and Callous. The video of the sister straight up saying, at this point, I might as well date other single moms. You have the Princellas, right? Come on, man. You out of Chicago and you're in the Atlanta region right now, and you don't know what Mr. Z talking about? Black women are not more loyal than black men. They have less options. Period. And that's because they want to stick the middle finger at black. Let me get this right. And FD does this, but he doesn't really go into it like that, which is if black people also internalize anti-black images, and black people also have certain anti-black sentiments across skin tone, across gender, across sexual orientation, all of these things, right? Across age, etc., etc. How is it that it's so difficult for people to just in a vacuum speak about black women's anti-blackness specifically towards black men? Black women are no more loyal to black men. They have less options, period. That does not mean that white women and Latinas and Asian women can't be racist and colorist. We see the comments online. We understand that they're on the white penis chase also. A whole lot of people were copping please in FD Signifier's comment section. A whole lot of Asian women. There's so many white men copping please. Internationally, this is not just even white American men. So many of them copping please. Oh, that must be an American thing. If you don't get the entire hell out of here, where on this planet you ain't gonna go where they not white penis worshiping? So many white men copping please, especially foreign white men that are in America now, but they were born and raised somewhere else. Oh, that must be an American thing. Oh, I'm out of Latin America. That doesn't what? Oh, I'm from the UK and my girlfriend is black. I don't know. Maybe that's what? I know a white British dude ain't talking about that's an American thing. I know you ain't talking. Because the sisters in Britain are saying the same thing the sisters in Canada are saying, the sisters in America are saying. And I've seen a couple of videos of black women from Africa that are now living in Australia saying the same thing. The white penis worship is real. And we ain't even going to talk about Asian women. Jesus Christ. So spare me all that talk. Well, that must be an American thing. No, we're just more loud and bombastic about it. And Lion says, what were they saying in the comments? Pretty much, trying to cop please, like, oh, that must be an American thing. Oh, this race and relationships and this obsession with interracial relationships, that's an American thing. This anti-blackness when it comes to relationships and intimacy and this interracial relationships is political, specifically concerning black people, is an American thing. Get out of here. Yes, because you can be a well-to-do Arab in the Middle East and walk in with a black wife. Get out of here. Right? So, once again, I see what this brother is doing. I get it. But brother, you talking around. This is look. If y'all mean equality and if you really mean egalitarianism, you really gotta mean it. This hitting women, particularly black women, with kid gloves thing, stop. Right? And then you wonder why y'all can't reach the boys and the men now. You keep on telling them about this egalitarian thing that they don't see. Right? What else do I have here? So, I actually I really do appreciate the comment about black people's self-determination and how a lot of people poo-poo it, non-black people poo-poo it, specifically white people, specifically loud-ass white racists, but they practice it. In other words, they practice group economics, they practice self-reliance, they move into enclaves with other people like them from their country of origin, or at least from the region they're from, right? They do these things, but when black people say they're going to do these things, these other people are like, "Oh, what are you doing? You're the real racist." So I really applaud him for actually bringing that up, something that we speak about in the black community at nauseum. And I'm glad because FD Signifier's subscribers and audience is largely non-black. And so it's good that he pretty much snubbed them in the face with that, because he has a lot of non-black and non-white subscribers and viewers. So I'm glad that he kind of snubbed them in the face with the "y'all doing this, but when we do it, it's a problem," right? So I actually applaud him for saying, like, yo, and like essentially check y'all racist anti-black family members for the you see black people over here want to start their own bank, and that's racist. Don't we have a bunch of like Chinese banks and Japanese banks all through the West Coast? What's the difference, right? So one thing that Dr. Umar Johnson and Feek share is covering for black women. FD Signifier, you and Dr. Umar Johnson do the same thing. The whole throw black men under the bus, the whole it's different. And you actually played the video when Dr. Umar Johnson was pretty much saying it's different when black men date out and when black women date out. And if you want to know why there is a divestment, and we're going to get to it, why there's a divestment movement and a swirling movement, much of it has to do with that. Y'all keep on telling black women it's different when they do it. And when you speak about how loud and brash and annoying people that date interracially, that use their interracial relationships as like some type of personality quirk, and you make sure to emphasize, well, black men do this, black women don't really do this. Spare me. It's not just the divestors. Wait a minute, let me get this right. So you play when you did the think piece on the Black Manosphere, and you play Lil Bill, and Lil Bill speaks about how black women will be like, "Oh, go get me a white man," and da 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 da, right? You play that, but then a year or so later, well, actually less than a year later, you play essentially black men are the ones that use these interracial relationships as a character trait, right? Brother, you grew up in the black community, around black people, around a whole lot of black women. Are you telling me that black women don't speak about these non-black men in comparison to black men, like these non-black men are perfect, like they know how to really treat a woman, like they know how to take care of a woman, definitely take care of a woman financially, like these men understand what manhood is really about, unlike black men, like these men understand that they're nothing but walking wallets and overglorified guard dogs, unlike black men, and they don't really care about this whole love thing, and they don't really care about sex like that, unlike black men. Black men got it all the way backwards. Black men want to be treated like real human beings. These other non-black men understand that they're nothing but resource providers, and once again over glorified guard dogs, the way it should be. Wait, so you didn't hear that coming from black women, but Mr. Z did? Y'all gotta stop doing the playing down black women when they're misbehaving, either ignoring it, playing it down, throwing black men under the bus to do the slightest critique of black women. FD, you got sons, brother. You have sons. How often You, Dr. Jared Ball, Diallo Kenyatta, the entire black left gonna keep on doing this crap. And then you wonder why it seems like more and more black men are like, yeah, screw this, I'm going to the right. It's easy. It's going to be so easy for the right to pick off black men. Are they going to get a majority of black men? Probably not. Are they going to get enough black men to maybe break the Democratic hold on black people? Yes, possibly. Y'all can't keep on doing this patty cake thing with black women while black men are standing there, throwing black men under the bus just to critique black women at the very slightest margins, and then still claim you're anti-patriarchy. What? You're anti-black men thinking they should lead and run things just off of the mere fact that they were born with some testes and a penis. But yet, when it's time to critique the black community, we put all the onus on black men, if not the vast majority. All the onus. Exactly, Indigo. Critical mass. All you need is a critical mass of black men to start voting to the right. Because y'all keep on Ebony K. Williams. It's not that we're jealous of black women. We're tired of the left doing what FD does, doing what Diallo does, doing what Dr. Jared Ball does. And you completely ignored FD. All the women, period, of color, all of them. Black women, white women, like, excuse me, not white women, black women, Latina women, Asian women, who the reason why they're dating the white man is for the patriarchy. Ooh, goddamn, Mr. Z. For all of the bubbles that come from white patriarchy. And by the way, that's not just conservative women. That's liberal and, ooh, Mr. Z, you about to say, yes, I am, and progressive women too. Well, damn. Need I remind you, one of the women you are in community with, Fab Socialism, has said multiple times, it's interesting, it's really not that interesting, that all of these, so many radical black women, black radical women, are in relationship with white men. Yeah, because they don't freaking mean it. They're not as radical as you think. They're rah, anti-patriarchy until it comes time to be an intimate relationship, until it comes time to live with someone and pay these damn bills. Uh-oh. See, when it comes time to pay these damn bills, and when it comes time to live a lifestyle, ooh, live a lifestyle, say it one more again, Z, live a lifestyle, all that anti-patriarchy talk go out the window. All that anti-male leadership talk go out the window. Huh? They'll take a little bit of patriarchy if they get to live a certain lifestyle while dressing, right, in that bohemian dress. So I don't really care about money like that. And but I have this white man that earns $150,000 a year as a husband. Shut up. Yeah, my white man earns 120 a year. Yeah, he earns 80 a year. But I'm anti male patriarchy. I'm anti male leadership. Yeah, whatever. Y'all gonna start calling these women out for their hypocrisy, FD, and call it for what it is. Every time, okay, fine. Men do it and women do it, but women do it. Black women do it for a whole different reason than black men. Black men do it to virtue signal that they're better than being black. They're better than black women and other black men. Black women do it because black women do it because black men got an issue with their skin color. Oh boy. Y'all gotta stop. Y'all gotta stop. Right? So, the brother brings up, and this is something that black women are gonna have to grapple with. And once again, now y'all got FD signifier saying it. So now what, Chrissy? Right? And let's call it thing. Let's call it thing a thing. Many of us have smaller channels, less than 100,000 subscribers, FD Signifier is up there. What, he's at 400 and something, maybe 500 now, something thousand subscribers, 500 some odd thousand subscribers. You got to know a whole lot of his subscribers are non-black people, and he has a sizable black female viewership also. So all this talk about black men's lack of loyalty, yeah, as compared to other non-black men, especially white men. Once again, white men and Latina women, which once again, Latina is not a race, but whatever, and white men and Asian women, dear Yanni, dear Chrissy, dear Paris, dear Lexus Exodus and Mahogany Pink, dear Shira 7, dear Cynthia G, and all of your LGBTQ brethren that y'all like to have regurgitate the same talking points as you. So Themis and Storm Monroe. And you have to say to this what now? Right? And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Talking about super chats. Low low volume mail, hysterical. Low volume mail, thank you for the super sticker. Absolutely funny, hysterical. Big Kev, thank you for the super chat. And Big Kev says 90% of female quote unquote empowerment, quote unquote upliftment, and quote unquote protection nowadays is merely a cult of worshiping and coddling toxic femininity. We're gonna come back to that comment because I actually agree with this 100%. And let's read that one more again. 90% of female quote unquote empowerment, quote unquote upliftment, and quote unquote protection nowadays is merely a cult of worshiping and coddling toxic femininity. Thank you once again, Big Care, for that comment. Absolutely. And Mr. Shook to you says, putting in that work on Thanksgiving. We call it. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Thanksgiving, and we call it Native American and Indigenous Slaughter Day over here. Right. But yeah. So I agree with this comment from Big Kev. I see what Dr. Richard Reeves and FD Signifier and their ilk are doing. I get it, right? Because the women are so fragile that before we can critique their behavior, we first got to let them know that we're allies. So we got to beat up on men first and the boys, and we got to speak about how the men just aren't as quick on the uptake, right? This is where Dr. Richard Reeves come in, and we got to tie how helping the boys and the men is actually going to be beneficial for the women. We got to speak about how the boys are slower. They're just less mature. They're slower. They're slower on the uptake. You have to speak about the boys like they're a charity case first. You imagine instead of us just coming straight through the middle and listen. If you don't want these dudes to start, let's call being, like I said before, this is our code word for how we're gonna say it. Being aggrieved white dudes, early 20-something-year-old aggrieved white dudes, and walking into your local department store and airing it out. If you don't want that to continue at a higher and higher rate, then I suggest we do something for these young men and these boys, right? Instead of you just coming up the middle and saying it like that and saying, listen, we don't have enough police officers to save your ass. Instead of you just saying that, we got to keep on beating up on the boys and men. Instead of us coming up the middle and saying to black women, listen, y'all don't really got no choices out here. I don't care how much we open up this society. These white folks are going to try to protect their wealth. And guess what? That means not marrying your ass. These non-black folks, I don't care how liberal or progressive we make this society, they're pretty much going to marry within their own races and groups. So dear black women, black men are all you got for the most part, unless y'all want to eat vagina. And then even then, black women. So we got to do right by black men and black boys, even if it's just for you, even if in the long run it's more beneficial for you. This is actually going to be beneficial for you, because black men are still at majority going to marry black women. That's if we could get them right and actually get you to stop being assholes sooner rather than later. But instead of us doing that, we would rather throw black men under the bus, reverse the bus, roll them over, put the bus back in drive, roll them over one more time for good measure, and then once again, at the very margins, really lightly, critique black women. Come on now. I gotta stop. I gotta stop. Right? So, you know, like I said, the comments are a video within themselves. Right? The is a video within itself. Reading it, reading through the comments, watching different people give their testimony, give their story, watching non-black people cop pleas, watching white men specifically cop pleas, watching people talk about, how they don't really, I don't really see race that way, and oh my God, that must be an American thing. Right? So y'all gonna keep on doing the whole, it's different when black men does it compared to black women. Jesus Christ. So, FD does the whole protecting divestors thing. You had to know. So he shows a video of them speaking about, black men and dating interracially, et cetera, et cetera. But he said it himself, like, yo, I promised I would not mention these people again. And then he plays the clip for about a minute, maybe a minute and a half, something like that, of divestors speaking on their panels and sounding absolutely insane. But I think what he did there, being a little funny, but what he did there is a great representation of what I'm saying, the overall conversation. We have not actually moved the Overton window, to be honest, about women's proclivities, women's self-interest. We pathologize men, and I'm not saying that FD was necessarily fully doing this here, but we have a propensity to pathologize men and not so much women. And we're so deathly afraid of being called, particularly on the left, we're so deathly afraid of being called misogynist or sexist that we do our level best to not shame women, critique women in any way that can even remotely be perceived as harsh or sexist or misogynistic, right? We are so careful not to fall into anything that could be perceived as homophobic, not being a good ally, etc., etc. And what we end up with is, once again, FD playing down the divestors and swirlers and playing down the black women that pretty much speak about ending up in not even just card carrying divestors and swirlers, but other black women that speak about being in relationship with non-black men as just better because those men are more mature and they understand what manhood is really about. And it's about self-sacrifice. It's about being a walking guard dog and walking wallet, right? Which is what they boil men down to. This is not about love. This is about, once again, status. And I once again, like I said, I appreciate him being honest about the media, particularly white liberal media, and essentially virtue signaling, black people in relationship with non-black people. And he's actually honest about the overrepresentation of, and he's kind of slipped that in there, of LGBTQ relationships, something that we speak about in the black manosphere often, right? And that's not to be homophobic, but it is to say, okay, so FD signifier sees this also, right? And I would add on to that, because I don't recall if he mentioned this part, but the overrepresentation of black LGBTQ relationships in the media, right? because they can only see black people, and he does bring this up. They can only truly appreciate black quote unquote love if black love is with a non-black person, right? And if it has to be another black person, then they can only really see black love in this intersectional way. Dear left, you did this, which is black men with black man, black woman with black woman. If it has to be two black people in relationship with each other. What I appreciate also about FD is him mentioning Bill Cosby, and the one true time that you saw a less problematic black relationship with black man, black woman, it had to be a perfect black relationship. Like perfect. Upper middle class, doctor and lawyer married. Right? Like that is it had to be perfect. And I'm glad that he actually mentioned that it had to be for us to see black man and black woman married to each other, it had to be perfect. And Bill Cosby couldn't be the more serious man. He didn't mention this, I'm saying this. Bill Cosby couldn't be the more serious man that he actually is. He had to take a comedic take to pretty much the entire endeavor of showing black folks in relationship with each other, married to each other, black man, black woman. Right? And once again, we haven't seen a black pairing of black man, black woman married to each other in relationship like this really since the 90s. We saw black marriages in the 90s. We saw, you had the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. You had, well, they weren't married. You saw Martin. We saw this in the 90s. So I can't fully, but once again, most of it was comedic. We have Blackish. We have some representation, but not really. And definitely not at the scale that the Cosbys were in the 80s and 90s. Right? So I applaud him for that. Right? But at the same time, ugh. Right? So Andre 416 reform says, what's going on, Andre? Patriarchy, quote unquote patriarchy, and patriarchy light is only okay when non-black men do it. Otherwise, it's oppression and slavery. Like you sound like just about every black feminist I could think of. Right? Exactly. Patriarchy is reserved for well-to-do and upper middle class white men. Um, and even just white men in general, but definitely upper middle class and above white men. And black men, you get the gynocracy, which we're going to call egalitarian, right? But he's egalitarian in name only, which is black female run, resourced by black men. And there you go, egalitarianism. Once again, black money, black male money, black men's money, black woman leadership, and that's egalitarianism. That's equality right there, y'all. You fund it, they run it. Right? And shouldn't the entire world follow that model? Your money, her rules. Yeah, that's it. Dear FD Signifier and the rest of Black Cornbread Tube and the rest of Black Left, have fun trying to forward that to black men in general, and then other non-black men. Have fun trying to forward that, right? What's the lady that I was reviewing the other day that said what? What she said, a more understanding or more palatable masculinity. What did she say? A softer, something like a softer masculinity, something like that. And we know what that really means. You still adhere to all of these norms that come from patriarchy, like protector, provider, but yet you listen to her. I didn't say you can take what she's saying into consideration. Obviously, I didn't say you talk to her and you're not a dictator or any of that. I said you listen to her. Once again, she run it, you fund it. You fund it, she run it. right? Oh yeah, My Wife and Kids. That was another one. Yes, yes, with the Wayne's brother. Yeah, yeah, with the Wayne's brother. Yes, yes, yeah, right. Absolutely. So we have this. Look, as I said, my gripe is with this idea that, and y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Um, that we're gonna continue to play down what the women are saying and doing, and not just in the black community, but specifically the black community when it comes to race and intermixing, right? When it comes to race and sex, when it comes to race and intimate relationship, and someone said it in the comments, and I would love to see more academics grapple with this because we actually saw a bit of this. I want to say Dr. Jennifer Lundquist or Dr. Chantal Bucks touched on this a little bit in one of their interviews. And I've seen other people touch on this just a little bit, which is people, and essentially it's what Jenny Mai said on the View that one, not on the View, sorry, on the Real that one time, which is, black meat for the side, white meat for the main course. And how many people of color and white folks, when I say people of color, I mean non-black people of color and white folks, that's how they operate, which is when I'm young, I'm going to experiment with all of these non-white folks, and I'm going to have fun, and I'm going to have sex with a bunch of different people, and I'm going to do short-term, quote unquote, relationships and situationships with non-white folks and with people that's not of my same race. But then when it comes time to get serious, and I'm in my career and whatnot, and it's time to have, form a family, then that's when I get serious with being in relationship with, once again, a person of my same race or with a white person. In other words, this is your stereotypical Latino or white dude that's in his mid 30s, and y'all start talking about relationship and race, and he says something untoward, right? He says something questionable, and everybody in looks at him, and then he does the whole, "Well, man, no, no. Hey, by the way, man, I used to date a black girl for a couple years, you know, when I was like 22, 23, I had a black girlfriend." That guy. I can't be racist, right? Now, I can't be racist because I had sex with a black woman because I was with a black woman for a couple years. But now he's married to a Latina or now he's married to a white woman, and you can't call him racist because he used to give D to a non-black woman, or excuse me, to a black woman a few years ago, a decade ago, right? So I would love to see more scholars kind of grapple with people's idea of what, when you're serious, you end up with a person of your same race or with a white person. When you're young and you're having fun and you're experimenting, you mainly experiment with black people, or you can experiment with other people of color. But when it's time to get serious, then you go back to your own race or to a white person. That's how you show. And by the way, we've seen black women say similar FD signifier and not just divestors, right? If you're serious, you date, once again, non-black men, obviously primarily white men. But if you just want big D and swag, that's what black men are here for, right? Exactly, Will AR. Because I'm going to read that too. Will AR slumming. Yes, slumming. You slum with black women for a couple years, right? You make sure that your friends, maybe even some of your family members, see you with a black girl. You get your cool points because you out here with a black girl for a couple years. Nobody could call you racist. And then we see you, White Mike. Everybody got a White Mike they went to school with, right? White Mike was in the hood with the rest of us. He was smoking weed with the rest of us, right? He was living reckless with the rest of us. He had a couple of black girls that he was seen with. You see White Mike 10 years after high school, 12 years after high school, and it really is the Travis Kelce transformation from Nicole to Swift, right? It's the haircut change and everything. And we have to be honest that that's a thing. And let's first put up Trell's comment. And Trell's comment says Trell says because he banged out Keisha in the back of his Mazda, and Rogish says the Mazda got space like that. LOL. Well, if you had a 929, if y'all remember the 929, and the 929 was a dope ass Mazda. It was kind of paused. It's kind of long, and it was good looking Mazda. If you had a 929, you had space. You could do it in a 929, right? You could do it in an MPV minivan. Nowadays, the new Mazda 6, yeah, you can do it in Mazda 6. Mazda 6 got some space, right? See, I knew it. Look, I knew it. Look, and Trell says I had a 626. Oh, you had the smaller one. You had a 626. But a 929, yeah, you definitely could get. You definitely had space in a 929, right? And Samuel Norton says went from John B to Pat Boone. Exactly, exactly, right? And you know that thing that's something that we have to be honest about. Like people be and you got to give it to Jeannie Mai. She said the quiet part out loud, and her being an Asian woman, and this is before Jeezy. She said the quiet part out loud, and everybody knew it. These are the type of conversations that people have, non-black people have, in the privacy of their spaces. And as a black person that once upon a time used to be around enough non-black people, yeah, this is a common sentiment. You have no idea how, and I've said this before. Let me talk about the small hats real quick. Small hat men and small hat women. Do y'all understand how many small hat men and women are having sex with black people? Do you know how many small hat women have had sex with a black man and now they're married to a boring, garbage sex having ass small hat dude? Right? Like, this is a thing. And when Jenny Ma said that, white meat for the main course, dark meat for the side, that sentiment that is something so many non-black people actually believe in, right? And see, only logical says it right here. Small hat men have children with thousands of black women. I went to school with lots of those. Okay, thank you for actually bringing that up, Only Logical. And shout out to Only Logical. Check out his channel. Good stuff over there. Um, Another thing that FD stayed a million miles away from is how many black women and black men. He could talk about black men, but then if he spoke about black men, he would have to talk about black women, and it would look real ugly. How many black women have children out of wedlock from non-black men? Oh, he stayed a million miles away from that, right? If you're gonna say swirlnomics, speak about all of the failed attempts at black women trying to get the ring, but they got the baby. Or, let's be honest, they wanted the mixed baby because they wanted the light-skinned mixed child in preschool. They wanted those bragging rights. Right? Huh. That's one thing nobody really want to talk about. All these black women, FD, if you really want to go there, bro. See, when we try to play down how black women are moving out here, and once again throw black men under the bus, reverse the bus, roll them over one good time, put the bus back in drive and roll them over for good measure. When we do that, you do know that there's informed brothers like me waiting in the wings like, oh, so you're not going to talk about all these black women with these mixed children out of wedlock? You want to talk about black women's loyalty? What loyalty? When all these black women, not all, walking around here when Uncle Marvin is light skinned with freckles. Where Uncle Marvin come from? Uncle Joe, light skin with freckles. Aunt Ann, light skin with freckles. Where all these people come from? Uncle Hector, the name says it, with the wavy hair. What the hell? And Aunt May was never married. Where all these light skinned children come from? Where all these mixed children come from? If you want to speak about swirlnomics, speak about darker skinned black women having lighter skinned children in the hood from these non-black dudes. Because now they get to flex on their homegirls because they're the one who got impregnated by a white man or a Latino man. If you want to speak about swirlnomics, speak about Azealia Banks. See, you didn't bring up Azealia Banks. And I think Azealia Banks represents way more black women than everybody want to give her credit for. Because whenever she get into it with a black man, the first thing she tell you is how she's gonna go slob on white peen, how she's gonna go bounce on white peen, how she's gonna go do whatever naughty stuff with her white, well, now husband. And she uses her interracial relationships, now her interracial marriage, as a weapon against black men. No FD signifier. This is not new for black women. This is not just some new thing that divestors and swirlers are doing, and you know it. Right? And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat, and you know it. So we have to be like, if you, and yes, Demetrius, you're right. I said it. Like, if we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it. Right? If we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it. So once again, going into what we appreciate, the brother did break down a lot, and he went in the weeds with it a little bit, once again, a little bit, right? And he brought up Marcus Garvey, and he brought up Dr. Umar Johnson, and he let it be. If you understand what is understood doesn't need to be said. If you understood, you would see he was essentially saying he aligns with Dr. Umar Johnson way more than people would like to think. Right? And he actually called out these people for being hypocrites when it comes to black people and self-determination. Right? He actually called them out for their hypocrisy. Right? And you know, the swirlnomics thing, he also kind of threw in black women's faces ever so subtly how much black people, when they do get married, marry within race. He also spoke about the and not so much, but he did. He kind of mentioned it a little bit, the overrepresentation of black celebrities with non-black black men with non-black women. FD, this would have been a good time to bring up how black women were dancing on Kobe Bryant's grave because he wasn't married to a black woman. But you already said pretty much that you're going to hit black women with kid gloves whenever you critique them about anything. You already pretty much said that. So, you know, I understand. I get it. We're going to continue to chastise black men and hit them with the full weight of our critique, hoping they change and not really saying much to the black women. I get it. You'll let Kim Foster handle that. Yeah, because she's going to do a great job at it. You'll let Juicy handle that. Maybe she'll do a great job at it, but they ain't going to hear it. Right? You let T Noir handle that. Stop it. Shout out to T Noir, but she ain't gonna do it. Right? You're gonna let Nappy Headed Holbrook do it. Have you seen Nappy Headed Holbrook's critique of black men lately? I don't know. Right? So for that alone, I have to give FD a little bit of props because it's going to be hard. And this is why you see Chrissy moonwalking, acting like she's not moonwalking. I told y'all were too damn loud. I said y'all were too loud. Not even FD Signify got to pull out the Pew Research and remind y'all. By the way, when black men do get married, yeah, we understand the marriage rate is dismal. But when and the marriage rate is going down across the country, by the way, black women, because other women are, yeah, they pretty much doing the whole insufferable thing too. But anyway, when black men do get married, and when black women do get married, they're married within race at over 80%. Right? Yeah, Michael Ross, she's walking it back. Chrissy is walking it back, but she don't want to own it. Her ego won't let her admit it. Because I'm not walking. What did she say? Rebranding, or it's branding, it's marketing, something like that. If you had a marketing degree, because she was specifically talking about me when she said it. Because I often, and I speak about, I don't critique dumb women. I speak about Kim Foster. I speak about Chrissy. I speak about Yanni. I speak about Paris, and I make sure to say, like, you know these women aren't dumb. They know what they're doing, right? But when Chrissy speaks about me, because she got to jab me, right? She got to mention, how dumb I am, or how slow I am, right? Or how I'm slow on the uptake, or if you had a marketing degree, right? You would understand these things. And she got to do her whole ego thing. The woman that still can't keep a damn man. Oops. Right? The woman that, lamented being in her luxury apartment by herself, keeps on speaking about how dumb Mr. Z is. Although she won't say it by name. She won't say me by name. But if you watch one of her most recent live, she's talking about me, because she literally mentions everything Mr. Z talks about. She says me in everything but name. She mentions me in everything but name. Right? So she's walking these things back, by saying, what did she say again? She's creating content for the women that's like her and that think like her, and she's creating content for the women that view her, not for anyone else. She's moonwalking, because that is not what Chrissy was saying 3 and 4 and 5 years ago, and 6 years ago. Right? Now she want to keep, now she's encouraging more and more of her subscribers to check her stuff out on Patreon, because that's when they're going to get into the, the dark ugly stuff of how to get these dudes. In other words, how to find you a well-to-do, naive, lame-ass white dude and play his ass and date him and get his money and potentially have him propose to you and marry you. So she's going to reserve all of her preying on the white dudes with some money content, and how these black men ain't ish, and how I can really let loose. She's leaving that for Patreon. But and with that, she's speaking like she ain't moonwalking. Chrissy, back in the day, you used to put that on YouTube. You used to leave that type of stuff on YouTube. Now you put it on Patreon. And you're admitting, and by the way, when she said that, she's admitting that she can't put stuff like that on YouTube because, essentially, Cynthia G and brothers like Mr. Z. She don't want all the rest of us to know how schemy and scammy they sound when they start speaking about dating and how to get the dudes you want to want you. I promise you. And Lion says yes, because white men aren't getting hip to the BS. I promise you they don't think so. I promise you they don't think so. And they don't. Why would you want those type of wiggers anyway? Right? Which, by the way, what's the name of the more well-spoken sister that occasionally calls into Obsidian? Right? I forgot her name. I think she's a matchmaker herself. Right? And she has like this obsession with class. Once again, this Kim Foster type class thing. And apparently her daughter is engaged to a white man. I forgot her name. She goes up on Obsidian occasionally. Right? And it's the same thing. And I'm bringing this up for this, right? When Mimi Alexander, the author of A White Man's Or, we'll say, right? When she was up there, the sister was speaking, and she kind of made this kind of wigger, non-wigger distinction. Man, I don't know what type of white dudes y'all been around. The squarest white dudes are the worst ones. Letitia, thank you, right? Thank you, Lion. Letitia Underwood. Yes. I don't know where they get this idea of black women. Y'all gotta stop. Yeah, the tatted ass white dude. Yeah, yes, him. He ain't that great. Yes. But this whole classic, man, y'all be thinking these cardigan wearing, slim slack wearing white dudes. Look, I worked with them. They're the worst ones. Who you think really racking up the body count? Y'all better ask somebody. Chisel chin Chad, 6'2" chisel chin Chad with the Robert Downey Jr. type of humor, right? With the fitted button ups. You want to see body count? All right. All right. You think he only smashing white women? All right. That dude smashing everything. I said everything. I didn't just say women. He's smashing everything. Y'all got it all the way, man. Right. So I'm bringing that up, tying that to Chrissy by saying, and you see women, black women in particular, do this thing where and as a matter of fact, Chrissy brought this up in her comment section, brought this up with the Travis Kelce thing, right? Where he was too close to black culture anyway. This hippity hoppity black culture, because they're doing this whole class thing now, right? Where white men, these wiggers that act like black men, stay the hell away from them. The super tatted white dudes, stay the hell away from them. These more white bread, Bartholomew the Third, type of white dudes. They're more classy. They understand family. They're more serious. And they're not over here trying to play around, and they're not hood, and they're not trying to be like these, unkept, unwashed masses of black men. They don't want to mirror and imitate the lower class of black men. Right? This is some weird. Well, the funniest thing is watching black people make white racist classist arguments about other black people, and then other non-black people who they think are associated with those lower classes of black people. This is the funniest thing in the world, right? Y'all gonna keep on hiding y'all anti-blackness. Oh, by the way, FD, you gonna act like you ain't hear Mr. Z saying anti-black? FD started saying anti-black. I'm seeing people in the comments giving props for that. Excuse me, sir. I may not be the first, but you gotta admit Mr. Z was one of the first, if not the first, for some people. I'm not the first person, but I'm definitely one of the first people to popularize the term anti-black. I made a distinction between racist and anti-black. Y'all gotta give me my props, goddamn. Right? But going back, this is how black people hide some of their anti-black sentiments. This is another thing I brought into the space. Black people hide their anti-black sentiments behind respectability politics, behind class, behind skin tone, right? For black women, behind gender and sex. Oops. Right? So, the brother FD signifier, as I said, not too bad of a job. It could have been worse. So I'm grading him on a curve. I am definitely grading FD on a curve. It could have been worse, but I respect the production. I respect him going into the weeds about why, and he says this, right. So black love isn't this revolutionary political movement. I have some things to say about that, because I don't actually agree with that, really. I think it is. And let me get into, Mr. Z, you're gonna be pro-black for a second. Yes, I am. Right. I do think black love in this environment is revolutionary, and I've always held to that. Right. I understand SYSBM. Obviously I'm part of the Black Manosphere. I understand passport bros, right? With that, in this I think Black people are being encouraged to have a conflict of interest by dating and marrying out. This is where I make the distinction. I didn't say difference. Distinction between Black women and all this talk and how much of it is encouraged and allowed by white society. All of this insulting Black men under the guise of critiquing Black men. I do not think it's a coincidence that when the civil rights movement ended on paper, right, you have this uptick of Black women, Black feminists being encouraged to insult, quote unquote, critique Black men by white media, both white conservative, but definitely white liberal media. I don't think it's a coincidence that you had all these talk shows in the 80s, but definitely the 90s, where Black women were encouraged to go on and just dump on Black men. That is not a coincidence, right? So I still see Black relationships, Black heterosexual relationships, as revolutionary, because I think that these people are attempting to undermine Black people through interracial relationships. In other words, and BGS will tell y'all I came in the door saying this, so will the Raj Report. I see white society try to Braziliify America in general, while white people, definitely white elites, stay on top, and the masses of people of color aspire for whiteness while they're really mixed, right? That includes, but most specifically, Black people, right? Exactly. Charles says a lot of growing pains. Oh, excuse me. A lot of it is the growing pains of admixture. I agree with that. But let's be very clear. What will happen is what's happening all across Latin America, which is white people are still on top, both economically, politically, and socially. Definitely socially, economically, right? Well, all three. Definitely all three, right? Politically, socially, and economically. While all the other mix this, mix that are still trying to climb up that ladder to whiteness, right? That's why I call it the Brazilification of America. And shout out to Black Uru for telling me to trademark that years ago when he first heard me say that, right? The Brazilification of America, right? Where you have Asian mix whatever, Black mix whatever, Latino mix whatever, Indigenous mix whatever, and everyone's still trying to pine for the white girl or the white man as a status symbol. And the whiter and lighter you are, the closer to white you are, it denotes some type of status in your society. Pretty much kind of where we are now in America, but we're not as militant about it as a country like India or Brazil or just about any country in Latin America. Right? And so that portrait that we've all seen coming out of Latin America with the dark-skinned Black grandma, the mixed mulatto, lighter skinned daughter, and then the fully white grandchild, and the grandma has her hands up like she's praying and she's thanking God. That will be America. And so I do think of Black marriage, fully Black children, definitely visibly Black children as revolutionary. I still see it as a revolutionary act. Yes, I do. Especially if you're being honest, FD, and you're saying, look at all these goddamn mixed relationships on television, whether it's commercial or whether it's the show itself, which the show is the goddamn commercial also. If you're admitting that and saying that this is liberals' cheap, unoffensive way at showing black people on television, then you have to admit that, like, for them, for white liberals at least, for many of them, black people in interracial relationships is not offensive because they can only truly see black people if that black person is attached to a non-black person, primarily a white person, right? They can't see and they don't understand black love, black men, black women in marriage with each other, in relationship with each other, raising children in a functional home. They don't know what that is, especially in on a white supremacist dominated planet, white supremacist country. They can't fathom what that's like to be a black heterosexual man with a black heterosexual woman raising a black daughter and a black son. Right? So for them, interracial relationships is just the way to go. Particularly, you know, and if not that, then gay relationships, and then maybe you can have black man, black woman with black woman, right? And even you said for us to see, black man and black woman together, they had to be damn near perfect. The Cosbys. And remember, this is coming out of Jim Crow. Out of Jim Crow, the first real functional black relationship we see on television is the Cosbys. And they saying in a how many hundreds of thousands, damn near $1 million house in the 80s. Right? One is a doctor, one is a lawyer in the 80s. Right? So, no, I do see black love is still revolutionary. And this concludes Mr. Z's pro-black segment. Right? And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Right? Yeah, exactly, Charles. A brownstone in Brooklyn in the 80s was still a brownstone in Brooklyn, and it was still expensive. It wasn't as expensive as they are now, Jesus Christ. Right? But y'all gotta stop pretending like these homes were in what they cost, back in the day. They still were expensive. But yeah, so y'all like, share, subscribe. I'm about to put the link up where we'll do a panel for a little bit. Because Lion asked yesterday. So Lion, we'll do a panel. And I couldn't do it yesterday. What happened yesterday? Oh yeah. Toya was streaming yesterday, right? On the Roger Reports channel. So when I had the time to, I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna try to bogard, Toya's streaming on the Rogers channel. So, and it actually, that was good because it actually gave me a chance to watch and listen to FD Signifier's stream, and I talked to my lady about it, and I spoke to her about this constant need to throw black men, and men in general, but black men, under the bus to do the slightest critique of women, black women specifically, and how enraging that is to continuously see that. Right? Yeah. Wow. I never knew the title. It made it worse, Kev C. And Kevin C says the famous Brazilian painting is titled Hand. First, I didn't even know it was Brazilian. So there you go. Once again, even when I don't really know it, you see. But Kev C says the famous Brazilian painting is titled Ham's Redemption. It depicts African to white. Wait, I was gonna drop the link. Give me a second to work through this real quick. Wow. First, Ham's Redemption. So we still talking about Ham's curse now. Okay. We're gonna leave that one right there. We're gonna leave that on the table. the fact that it's called Ham's Redemption, and then you see the Brazilian grandma, darker skin. First of all, I didn't even know it was Brazilian. Um, I honestly always thought it was Mexican, right? I always thought it was. I knew it didn't come from the Caribbean, Latin Caribbean. I always felt like I always knew it was in Puerto Rican or Dominican or Cuban. I always thought it came out of like Mexico or like Central America or something like that. I never knew it was Brazilian. So that only the fact that call what it feels like America is attempting to do, the Brazilification of America. And then now that Camp C is telling me this portrait is Brazilian, it only proves what the hell I was saying before. But then the title itself, Ham's Redemption, speaks to what I'm saying even further, because I think that's less offensive to the state, right? If you have people of color who, and especially when you see the population is going down, and when you see the windfall of money that mainly white folks, white millennials, younger Xers, millennials, and some of the absolute oldest of Gen Z, but it's really millennials, right? White millennials are about to receive from their parents. When you see that coming down the pike, I think you're going to see even more. And this is why I'm saying to Chrissy and I'm saying to Yanni and Paris, y'all got to get y'all minds right. Y'all got to get y'all subscribers' minds right. Y'all are going to see these white dudes walking around with this money that they're being given from their parents. And they're going to use that money because now a $200, $300, $400 date is going to be nothing. But he's going to demand something from you. Let me get in my older brother bag real quick. And yes, we SBE in today. And yes, we actually given black women a warning. Yes, even specifically the swirlers and divestors. These white dudes, many of them are going to be married. Many of them are going to have children, but they wanted to knock off a black woman off of a bucket list. And spending a couple of hundreds of dollars, maybe even a couple of thousand, is going to be nothing. And if you could deal with what's going to come with that, so be it. But for the rest of you, these dudes that are going to be getting 75, 100, 120, 150, $250,000, $500,000, maybe even $1 million in life insurance and property, spending a couple $100 on a date just to smash a black woman that night or maybe a week from now, or because she was quote unquote holding out a month or two from now, is going to be nothing. It's going to be nothing. And at best, you get your mixed baby from that. At best. Trail said $40. No, I'm talking about the white dudes that, they don't mind spending to get the box. Right? They don't mind spending a couple $100 to get the box. Right? And it may not be tonight. It may be a week or two from now, or a month from now. Make her feel like she really accomplished something by making him wait a month. Right? So when you mix this upcoming, wealth chasm that's coming with what I'm calling the Brazilification of America, right? And BGS speaks to this too as the society becomes more and more open. And yet what you will have is, for the most part, black people will still be dealing with black people, and we'll have the occasional, just like now, black man, black woman ending up with a non-black person, particularly black man. I would argue, black men will still marry out more. But black women, what I'm saying, will have more mixed children out of wedlock. Right? Now you imagine the political and social, and we're dealing with some of it now, the political and social ramifications of a whole lot of mixed children coming from black women who were never married to the non-black partner. Where is that mixed child going to be mentally and psychologically? Right? Now, we see this happening in Africa. First of all, we see this on the east coast of Africa with the Arabs. We saw this during the slave trade and a little bit before the slave trade with the whites on the west coast of Africa. We saw it in the south. We see it with all the coloreds, right? Shout out to Trevor Noah. We see it now in Africa with the Chinese. We saw it all across because the one drop rule in America changed a lot of the dynamics compared to everything south of the border, where they didn't really have the one drop rule like that. So then you had a whole lot of people still trying to indicate and signal that, yeah, I'm not white, but I ain't black. I'm closer to white. And then you have a zillion different titles and names and descriptions in Latin America for not a, let's call it a thing, not a nigger. Right? There's a whole lot of different descriptions of not a nigger coming out of Africa. I'm assuming not out of Africa, out of Latin America. A whole lot of, I'm not black, I'm closer to white. And what I'm asking is, what is that going to look like in America over the next century or so? Right? And Kev C says, Ham's redemption title for the famous Brazilian painting 1895. It promotes the idea of, yeah, you're gonna have to Boniqua Minto Brand. Okay, yeah. Someone, Kev, when you yeah, you're gonna have to come up on the panel and pronounce that for me because Brand. Let's see, Brand. Yeah, nope, can't do it. Yeah, whitening over generations in Brazil. That's what we're gonna say. So I've heard this. I feel like I've read something about this in my early 20s, right? And it stayed with me. I don't ever remember reading that word though, because I'm pretty sure I would have remembered how to pronounce that because I'm struggling to pronounce it now. But I remember I want to say I read something about this in my early 20s. And it stuck with me, the difference in how Brazil went about trying to whiten its country. And you saw this across Latin America, south of the border, where, the importing of white Europeans to whiten the country. In Argentina, we already know about sending the black soldiers out to pretty much get slaughtered, so that you could like pretty much whiten the country that way. So yeah. So, and then you have sex with the black women, or you just leave the black women to kind of languish and die with no men. So what I'm saying is, I think that you're having a process of that in America, but slower and not as overt. Right? And I do think it's political. That's why I disagree with FD Signifier. And yes, Mr. Z is putting his tinfoil hat on. This is why I disagree with FD Signifier on black love being revolutionary. I do think it is. I think, and I agree with him, everything black people do is political. That's 100% true. Everything. And I think, and this is why I always said it, this is why I speak about divestors and swirlers the way I do. Because it's not just social media and them making fun of black men and insulting black men. What they're advocating for is very political. And the way they speak about black men and so negatively about black men, and then juxtapose black men to non-black men, and then deem black men lacking, once again, because they're viewing black men through a very neoliberal lens, and they're commodifying masculinity and manhood. That is why I speak about them the way I do to swirlers and divestors. It's because what they're doing is very political. It is adopting a very neo-Nazi, and that's why I call them neo-Nazi, very neo-Nazi, very anti-black, very white supremacist view of black men, right? It's seeing black, it's literally plantation politics. Shout out to Nameless. It's seeing black men as property. It's seeing black men as nothing but doers, right? What they say, um, women are beings, men are doers, right? Men are not human beings, men are human doers. It really is seeing black men as doers, right? And if black men haven't done anything, so black men don't deserve to exist. This is where Cynthia G comes in, right? This is where Chrissy comes in, where she says, well, why should we give y'all kids? Because having kids is much more expensive than a steak dinner, right? When she was critiquing the um what is it again? Cheesecake Factory debacle and the list of places women refuse to go to on first dates. There we go. But yeah, yeah, so I look at it as very political. I look at it as very revolutionary because when you don't, then you get the Chrissies who advocate for eugenics. You get the Cynthia G's who advocate for eugenics, right? Because they don't see black love as a revolutionary act. Or worse yet, they may see it, and what they're saying is, F your revolution, where's my nice things? Right? So that part, you know? So, you know, that portrait says a lot. And yeah, and I've always I'm not always, but as an adult, I feel like I've always known that that was the process at which a lot of Latin America, particularly Brazil, the Argentinas, um, how they were moving, right? Wash out blackness. And unlike America, we don't have the one drop rule. So then we can start to title these people a bunch of different things, keep the confusion going, keep them jockeying for which one of us is less black and more white, right? I can't remember where I heard this, and I don't know how true it is, and somebody could maybe correct me if I'm wrong. But from my understanding, the last time Brazil did a census, it was forever ago. Like I think I don't know. Once again, rumor in the rumor mill, so I might be 100% wrong on this. Um, was back in the 70s or 80s, and like people describe themselves as like 100 and something different races, right? When they tallied up all the different ways people were describing what they are and their background, it came up to like 160 some odd or 120 some odd different races, right? And like that's what I'm speaking about. How can you move against an oppressive system and have some type of commonality about why you're moving and the direction you're moving in, right? When you're describing, and we're talking about race now, oppressive racial hierarchy, when the hierarchy has 100 and something different steps. What? Right? That's insane. That's absolutely insane. So if that's true about Brazil, then now you can see why Brazil didn't necessarily have a civil rights movement. I know they're doing things now when it comes to college and university and jobs, when it comes to, darker skin and black Brazilians, which is funny because they have like the second largest black population on the planet, outside of Nigeria. Um, but yeah, yeah. Look at that. And Indigo Flow says Spain and Portugal had about 16 different racial categories based on percentage and phenotype. Or excuse me, parentage and phenotype. Wow. Wow. Absolutely insane. So let me put the link in the comments, and y'all come up and give you some of y'all commentary. Yeah. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Looks like I'm the only one streaming right now. Yeah. Okay, let's what am I doing here? Confusing myself a little bit. Okay, here we go. And we won't be streaming for too long. Once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat, and here we go. All right, y'all. Link in the comments. Yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think about Native American and Indigenous Slaughter Day. And what y'all thought. If for those of you, that's why I linked it last night, so I gave y'all a chance. Some of y'all, whoever got to watch it last night. It was a little late though, and to watch it this morning. Although I did start streaming around like 8:15, so I know it was a bit early, but yeah, everyone. All right, what's going on, Raj? I think I saw. Did I see Rogers? And Better Use in here. We got the whole cast. The whole cast is in here. What's going on, Better You?
Nothing much. How you doing, man?
TK in here. Vito in here. What's up with you?
I'm doing well, man. Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay. Happy Native American Slaughter Day. What's up? Land grab day. We just got. You know what? We're just gonna call it land grab and slaughter day. Happy land grab and slaughter day. Y'all go ahead and eat y'all. I'm talking crap, but my girl and her mom are gonna go out and they're gonna do their thing. And my girl already told me she's gonna bring me food to work. So I'm talking crap, but I'm definitely gonna enjoy seasoned black turkey. Right?
Ooh,
Yeah. So you
yeah.
already know.
I got to see a little bit of that FD signifier video about
Mhm.
halfway through.
Mhm.
I do agree with, at least thus far, with a lot of his points about everything black folks doing being something political, and
Mhm.
honestly, how a lot of those dynamics are basically you're seeing it in the swirler divester space,
Mhm.
in how black folks are engaging with one another, with how you you were saying a little while ago, where it's really not too dissimilar from slavery when we are viewed as chattel and possessions,
Mhm.
So I think it's really interesting how you come full circle as a society from being free to seemingly wanting to go back, and at least certain people wanting to go back to some form of bondage.
Okay. BDSM bondage? You mean nestling under the white man's scrotum bondage?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm just making sure we saying the same thing. Yeah, I agree. I agree. No, man. And that's why the nameless protagonist speaks about the plantation model going global, and that's crazy. I promise you, when Nameless first said that, I was like, when you're like, nigga, why did you give me that to think about? God damn, right? Like, you could have just left me in my bubble. And then Nameless popped that bubble. When someone says something and then it's not really mind blown as much as it is, well, there's something I'm gonna be thinking about for a week, right? So yeah, that I agree with you. It really is, and I mean, because we really haven't gotten rid of white hegemony now, have we? And we haven't gotten rid of white hegemony. It's being challenged. You have the Chinese, you have the you know Arabs. Well, they're white, but they get to challenge the U.S. a little bit
Oh, you cut out now. Okay, is he moving?
because
He
of
might
their
have cut out. Probably was me.
the no. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you came back.
Okay. My apologies, y'all. But no, I was saying, like, we haven't gotten rid of white hegemony yet. Although we have challenges to white hegemony coming from the Chinese, we have the rise of Latin America. Um, but the Monroe Doctrine pretty much dictates that white people in America are going to be running the entire Western Hemisphere forever. So yeah. So until we get rid of white hegemony, I don't I don't really see how you don't have people pining to be with white folks as a status marker, right? Particularly women because of hypergamy, right? So yeah, men want to be end up with white women to show their status. Yeah, but women want to be with white men, not just for the status, but the resources. Because what whiteness has come to mean on this planet is resources. Even if white dudes don't really got it like that, right? Even if the masses of white men don't got it like that, their skin tone dic- denotes that they do, right? And this is where swirling economics comes in, right? So I'll pause right there. Y'all go ahead.
So
Yeah.
even if you don't have the, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mhm.
Even if you don't
Yep.
have the finances, then at least you have the
Mhm.
social status of whiteness.
Exactly.
So that's the other part of
Exactly.
it too.
Yeah.
Because what we
Yeah.
see is,
Go ahead, Kev. See elder privilege, and then we'll let Lion go because this stream is because Lion asked me yesterday. Z, you streaming? Go ahead,
go
Kev.
ahead,
See
come
and
on.
then Lion.
Go ahead, Kev. You got it.
Oh,
You got it.
okay,
Go ahead, Kev.
I'm an elder on this one. Okay, yeah. So
Yeah. No,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
elder.
So
It's elder privilege. We adopted Roger's model, elder privilege over here. Go ahead.
I got you. Yeah, no problem.
Mhm.
Yeah, so even if they don't have the finances to go with it, then the social
Mhm.
status is the other part of it. So,
Mhm.
and the reason I say this is that literally, I saw a counseling session yesterday where there was a black woman earning like over $300,000, and a white man
Mhm.
he only earns like 70,000, and there's
Mhm.
a problem in the relationship, and they're actually going to counseling about it. And part of the reason that she's having problems is that she earns so much more than him. So he doesn't have the financial status, but he does have at least
Mhm.
the social status and privileges that comes
Yeah.
along with being white. So that's why she's over there. And there's nothing wrong with that. But now she's mad because, they're literally in counseling about it. So that's the other part of it too. So even white men are getting criticism because they can't fulfill the financial duties they're supposed to come with their whiteness.
I
And then,
I remember
uh-huh.
real quick, Pepsi. I remember watching. I can't remember. Was it on 2020 or it was one of these Dateline or something? Right when the recession happened, it was a black woman married to a white man, and he lost his job. And the black woman was saying, I kind of look at him different. He lost his job and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, oh, the white man getting the feeling too, right? Like, and it goes back to what you're saying. Like, if we're working towards quote unquote equality, black women and other women of color are gonna have to know what that means for them when it comes to white men. That means that yeah, you might be making more than the white dude also, and then that speaks to what you're saying, which is like you're really marrying him now for that skin tone status, for that color status. Because if we really are working towards a world where your degree and your hard work gets you to a certain place, and we understand that men aren't going to college and university at the same rate women are, including white men. As a matter of the fact, the largest drop off in college enrollment was white men. Then black women are going to have to know that you are going to be, shout out to Quinta B, earning more than your white husbands and boyfriends and be more famous than them. Uh-oh. And more educated. Yikes.
Well,
Go ahead.
Yes.
now the thing about that is you got to be
Mm-hmm.
careful with that because now that you're flipping that to white dudes, because that's borderline reverse racism or
Yeah.
feminists. So
Yep.
now whenever they say about you, you're validating the things that they used to say about you.
Uh-oh.
So be careful. Be careful with that because when the white don't let the white because you know how white dudes act when they get mad.
Yeah.
You know how they get. But I
That
was speaking
that's
to. But
crazy.
yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. But be careful with that because now, because even what we got going on now is like you were talking about, you were mentioning Letitia Underwood because she's
Mm-hmm.
a matchmaker trying to quote unquote get people married. I roast her every time. I'm like, people ain't get married like that, right? The current marriage rate is 5.1
Mm-hmm.
per 1,000, right? Like I don't know where you think you can talk about class all you want, and yes, you want to talk about white men making all this money, but the thing is, these white dudes are tired of getting married and being used for that only to get cleaned out because white dudes get cleaned out too in divorce court. Divorce courts don't
Yes.
care about race.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
They get out, they get cleaned out
And
the
that's the thing.
alimony,
So
they
like,
get their kids too.
well, they're the ones with the money, so they really the ones getting cleaned out in alimony, right? Like they're the ones
And
really getting cleaned out. I'm not at all surprised by that. Mm-hmm.
they're not signing that contract either. You can go to all these between Fresh and Fit, whatever podcast and Pearl, majority of those subs are white and they're all saying the same thing. They're like, I'm not signing that contract.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
not signing
welcome
either. So
to
what are you
the
gonna do
to the
now?
21st century. Yeah. No. Welcome to the
Yeah.
21st century. No, I agree with this.
So
Oh yeah.
now that's to be a white dude. I'm like, what are you gonna do when they don't sign it? What are you gonna do about that?
Lion, your mic is real low. PK is saying your mic is real low. Yeah. It is. It does sound like you're talking through a can, though. Right. But while he gets that sorted out, what's going on? Go P and Go P. If you want to talk, go ahead. By the way, pause before you actually say something. For those of you that want to know why Mr. Z has a channel, um, shout out to Go P, first person to ever suggest that Mr. Z start his channel, which I did eventually. So y'all send all your hate mail to Go P. PK was another one that suggested that I start my channel eventually. So y'all send all the rest of y'all hate mail because PK in here to PK Angel. He also has a Discord, so send it to his Discord too. Yeah. All right, Go P, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. What's happening? What's happening? Can you guys hear me?
Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Morning,
clear.
brother.
We have a hate mail coalition. So, you don't reach me, you can reach PK.
Right. PK's the return to sender. Return to sender, go to PK.
Yeah, auto mail, AI. We have AI response.
Right. The email addresses we don't give a f what you're talking about. We riding with Z dot dot u
Right.
dot,
Hey,
dot
but
u.
look, man, you know, I don't know if you guys have seen the latest, but Jamie Foxx was accused of sexual behaviors that are unbecoming.
Crap. Not Jamie.
Yeah.
Oh, bro.
You got me too.
My question is, are we the only ones who see the pattern? Right? And this is this is in correlation to this conversation, right? Because for years, it's if brothers aren't doing nothing, if brothers aren't making nothing. If brothers aren't making nothing, they're leaving, right?
Yeah.
This is validating their reasoning and why they should swirl, right? If the brothers aren't making a bunch of babies or some line along the lines of that, well, they're assaulting, right?
Yep.
You see the pattern. I couldn't be the only one who sees this, and this is in direct correlation to their reasoning, right? I mean, we just think about it. If it, I mean, I'm not saying Diddy was right, but he's in that realm, that vein. Look at R. Kelly, Bill Cosby. We can go long line of people who. This is the playbook. This is out of the playbook.
Right? Look, we understand. Look, how am I gonna word this? What it looks like is we got to get y'all the hell up out of here. We have to make space for Meg Thee Stallion. We have to make space for who else? What's homegirl face out of Jersey? That Toya told us about. I forgot her name. She right there. She was signed to TD. She signed a TD. Anyway, but yeah, we got to make space for these people. So it is specifically towards black men, but it is weaponizing these actions to move these black men out the paint, right? To move them out the conversation and to have in perpetuity have an asterisk next to these people's name. So when you think of such and such dash, grapist, when you think of such and such dash assault, scissor. Thank you, Smitty. Thank you, scissors. That's replace R. Kelly with scissor. Replace, and I would tell people like Usher and all these other people, hey, y'all better be careful, because if this is the way we're going, whether you did something or not, we are in the era of moving you out or having a stain on your record, right? So I would tell all black men of note, any black men generally, to tell you the truth, but definitely any black men of note, man, you gotta be uber careful how you're moving out here. And I still don't think that's gonna stop everything, but it'll alleviate some pain. But you gotta be super careful because they're just burying everyone with allegations from a decade plus ago. Um, and I actually want to do a stream maybe later on today about that because Steam has covered Slim Thug speaking about the Diddy thing. And yeah, he acted like he didn't understand what Slim Thug was saying, which is this is a money grab. But yeah, that part. But yeah,
So
no,
see,
I see it too, Gopi.
Hey, yo, first of all,
What's going on, Nemo?
yeah, you probably still creeped out by what I said that one time about hitting it from the back. But anyway, hysterical. Anyway, yeah, I saw you line. Anyway, think about it this way, because I remember it was Eddie Griffin who foresaw all this back in like 08, 09. Because if you remember his special, freedom of speech, we're talking about he got into a car crash. He said it because he said, first of all, they accused Michael of 2 times of molestation. 2 times it was proven he didn't, but they settled out of court on that one. No, the first one set up the precedents for the second one. First of all, folks, you got to understand that. I mean, even the attorney who was interviewed by Vlad explained that it was him. Kobe got accused. Remember in 04, and that's it. And remember, David Stern was so fucked up over that situation that if you remember how he handled the whole Malice in the Palace, where everybody got suspended thoroughly. Martin Lawrence was accused by Tesha Campbell of sexual harassment when they were shooting Martin a while back in 98, 99.
Yeah. She came back and said that later on, but that story didn't get as much traction as I think. If it came out now, it would have got a lot of traction, but it didn't get that much traction back then.
Hell, a lot of people forget that during Me Too, what's his name? Marshall Faulk, the Rams running back, he got accused of some shit. When he and some other guys were working as panelists for one of the networks or football coverage and shit. So they come at it. Looks like Eddie Griffin just said it when he was interviewed by Vlad. No black man. They don't want any black man to come lead this business, unmarked. They gotta hit you. They gotta stain you with some kind of shit. I mean, even look at when we found out the truth about the whole Rihanna and Chris Brown shit. Yeah. When the truth came out about that, nobody ever. Yeah,
but I feel like we always knew. Like, this is the thing. I feel like at least black men, which it was in this part of the conversation, it's inconsequential, but we always knew because look, man, I grew up with Caribbean women, man. I grew up with Caribbean women, man. They will be in your face, bro, poking you in the temple. I can imagine how Rihanna was talking to Chris in that day. While you're driving, poking you in the temple. I can imagine how Rihanna was talking and acting in that goddamn Lamborghini. Yeah. I can imagine. Hell. Chris didn't just start wailing on her. I put money he didn't just, I don't know, just start, while he's driving, start wailing on her. That's not what happened.
When was it ever a good idea to go through your hands for?
Okay. Real quick, before you land, because I wanted Gold P to finish what he was saying, because he was getting at something by bringing up the Jamie Foxx in this before we went on this direction. I don't want to spend too much time speaking about the sexual.
No, I'm just picking up where Gold Professor. I'm picking up what Gold Professor was, but I
wanted him to land with what he was saying is what I'm saying. Go ahead, Gold P.
All right.
Yes, sir. So, what I was saying was this is in direct correlation to the politics, right? We are, it's people trying to play both sides of the fence, but lean the wind towards their side, right?
Yes.
And I'm saying, this has been out of the playbook consistently all the way up to now, where we are seeing this Jamie Foxx article. Now it's Jamie Foxx, right? Now, people do what they're going to do, right? Many people have them skeletons, dressed and undressed in their closet, right? And I'm not saying I'm excluded from that, right? But what I am saying is, brothers aren't out here railing against, you know, black women, females, whatever you want to call. They're not out here railing against them, telling them. It comes down to, you know, and I've said this, and people have, you know, went at me about it. I've said, hey, look, brothers, keep that same energy. When they get at you, like, keep that same energy, because it's gonna come back around when they're gonna say, can you help me? I need this. No, keep that same energy. You know, if you can come with, you don't need me, and this man's ice water is colder. Keep that same energy, man. There's nothing wrong with that. You know,
You know,
look, I'm gonna tell you one more thing, and I'm gonna let it go. Look, my play mother, she asked me a question. Yeah, I was over there visiting my pops and all that. But, you know, I have a, you know, play family, like many of us do.
Hysterical.
And my play mother asked me, she say, why do brothers always go to the white woman? Ooh, now how that came about, right? She say, well, I just want to know because, and apparently she's been into social media, you know, because I mean they're like in their 70s, man.
Okay.
Right. But she asked me that, and I said, well, you know, they're looking for something that isn't pressurized. Yeah, I'm saying, you know, because I got into telling them, hey, look, what man wants someone who's going to have attitude all the time, won't take care of themselves, ill behaviors, think you're supposed to give them everything and they give you little to nothing in return? What man wants that? So, of course, he seeks that in which he needs or wants, right? And if he finds it in a place that where he can benefit from him versus going through all out hell, I'm trying to understand, you know, what the problem is. And you know, my blame mother really didn't have no
Well,
response.
Iyanla Van Zandt already gave you an answer to that. Iyanla Van Zandt said on her show when them brothers was like, "Yo, I ain't trying to deal with all of this." She said, "You're supposed to stand in it. I raised my son to stand in it with black women, right? You're supposed to go. You're supposed to go through it and stand in it with black women." Y'all forgot that Iyanla Van Zandt. Iyanla Van Zandt gave you the answer already, Gopi.
Yeah, well,
that's
hey,
famous.
but hey, look, this is you know, my older family, you know, and when you look at the dynamic between her and her husband, my, you know, play pops, whatever have you, she now she's, you know, good people's. I trust she's good people's, but I see what brothers experience. I'm 50. Hey, I'll be 55 in March. Right, landmark number. Hey, what's up, D? What's happening? Um, I'll be 55, and I'm looking at them two in their 70s, and I listen to how they interact with each other, and it goes back to that Kleong mating ritual that BGS, shout out, had put in the space. And I hadn't thought about it. And when I'm listening to them two, she's telling them what to do. She's talking to them. Woo! Does a man want that? Or is it inevitable? That's the question. And that's with any woman, not just a black woman, any woman. Now, I ain't saying men should, you know, go to the other side. Caveat. I had just seen the movie Rustin. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, and I just kind of fell into it. And Baird Rustin, you know,
okay.
we're
Okay,
talking politics
that
now.
just came out. Didn't that just come out? Yeah.
We're talking politics now, right? Well, Baird Rustin was on
LGBTQ. Yeah.
On the other side. I just say on the other side. You know, you know. And this is part of the politics, man. You know, if you aren't aggressing somebody, you are leaving your family, you leaving a bunch of kids, you know, you jumping on them, you're doing this and that, or you're on the other side. either way, these are talking points to contribute to that swirling conversation.
Gold Piece, something you said earlier that made me think, because and something that Better You said also, like it's like we're walking backwards, right back to the plantation, but also when you look at how this harassment thing is being weaponized, and you look at the dating dynamics between men and women in general, and then we see that a third of young men, under the age of 30 didn't have sex last year, and how many of them, are virgins, and et cetera, and how long it is for them to have their first experience, whatever. It's as if women, I want to be very clear, women are slow walking us into polygamy, not realizing that's what they're doing. Because I'm telling y'all this. I know we want to, I'm not saying that some of this is not deliberate. I want you to understand these people are not self aware as hell. Your average woman, I'm not talking about the smarty arts. Your average woman is slow walking us into polygamy, not realizing that's what she's doing. Right. And I think it's fascinating because they're all huddling on the same dudes, right? So I'm bringing that up because something you said, but also what Better You was saying earlier, about us like slow walking right back onto the plantation in many ways, and the plantation model going global. Shout out to the nameless protagonist, but also I'm saying, we already know that just about 40% of men have been able to reproduce throughout U.S. history. I mean, not U.S. history, throughout world history. So if that's true, and the question then is, was it always the well-off men that kept the women away from other men, or is it also that the women all just wanted the same dudes?
It's worse than that.
Could be both.
Yeah,
It's
go, yeah.
worse than that.
Well, it's your go to anyway. Leon, go ahead.
So, in previous times, when you think about the Rome and Greece and
Genghis Khan.
the things that they changed about the Bible,
Hmm.
um, they had to stop guys committing suicide at an early age because education ended. For the majority, there was no education. You went
Yeah.
directly to work, and
Hmm.
you guys were committing suicide 24/7. So they added that to the Bible, for example,
Hmm.
and ideas of the church because guys just they feel like they feel now. You know what I'm saying? Because the system we live in. But
Yeah.
then you have to take into account of life expectancies. Most guys, even if they had children, they didn't really have the time to think about anything other than work and keeping their small tribe going on.
Hmm. They
So
were out
even
of
the
here before the age of
ideas,
40. Hmm.
yeah, you out of here literally fighting to be 30,
Yeah.
so your mind doesn't process these ideas. And, I talked to my grandma. She's like, I didn't have time to think about shit.
Hmm.
Cause she's like, we didn't have running water until like the 70s. So, uh,
Wow.
yeah, she was in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so she's like, what time do you have to think about anything about your grandfather or him to actually think about, yeah, I just had two light-skinned mulatto babies
Hmm.
from because women worked out of segregation. That's what they don't like talking about.
Hmm.
Um, so when she's going down to the lake to get wood and fill up buckets of water to go boil.
Was there a pun in there?
The only people that get the privilege to think about shit like that if you work for the union are you just had it. Most people,
Hmm.
didn't even have the opportunity. It was just survival mode, and the leftover people, they just commit suicide.
Yeah. That
Yes.
that's crazy. I mean, like, and this is something I think we're speaking about here. I think because when I listen to not so much FD, because I don't think he fully appreciates it that much, and I think that's because he's specifically in the black bread tube, and he's
No,
around
he
Kim
does.
Foster, and he. You think so? Okay, okay.
Yeah,
I won't
FD's
doubt you. Go ahead.
FD. If you like I told BGS, I watch how he formulates his placements of women and how he gets off. It's you have your thesis, you have your
Mhm.
paragraph, one sentence at the end of the paragraph, next subject.
Yeah.
Next subject. One, he talks about the guys in one sentence at the end of the paragraph. Next subject. He knows how
Mhm.
to. He refuses to get into detail about women at all. He just gets on the
I
subject
agree
and
with
gets
that.
off.
I agree with that. And I
Yeah,
think like because when I look at Dr. Richard Reeves, when I look at Scott Galloway, they look like they're like, yo, if we don't turn this around, and there's
yeah,
a certain sense of urgency that I don't see with the black bread tube. And I wonder how much of that is, well, black men always been on the bottom, so it don't really matter, or how much of it is it ain't gonna get that bad anyway, or how much of it is, well, these dudes are ineffectual anyway. I mean, how much worse can it get? We're already on the bottom. Like or I've insulated myself from the worst of this anyway, so I don't really have the sense of urgency and eagerness. But when I look once again, when I look at Dr. Richard Reeves and when I look at Scott Galloway, there's a sense of, and even when you look at other dudes that are doing some of this type of speaking about this, one other white dude that stands out to me that's a content creator is like Chris Williamson. There's a
hmm
sense of eagerness with them, like yo, like if y'all don't get this correct, like I don't think y'all understand what these dudes are on. I don't get that sense from black anything, from black conservatives or black liberals or black
Uh,
progressive. I don't get that sense of eagerness from them. Yeah.
the
um,
thing about that,
Hmm.
I've listened to those same guys too, Richard Reeves and Chris Williamson. The problem
Hmm.
is they sound just like FD. They still want to keep this egalitarian balance here too.
Yeah.
They're pulling kid gloves on the women over there too. So they're doing the same language, which is why
Yeah.
white dudes are responding the way they're responding too. So
Hmm.
they're
Hmm.
not Chris Williamson, Richard Reeves, even FD. They're not talking all that different. They're really not. They're maybe Chris Williamson, they may be talking about it more, but they still want to keep that egalitarian status because they don't want to make the women feel too bad. They're wearing kids gloves too. Because even the conversation with, I watched the conversation between Richard Reeves and Rolo Tomasi. They were,
Yeah, I saw that
that's
too.
what
Hmm.
yeah.
Richard Reeves was still doing, playing the egalitarian thing like, oh, what about the women? What about this? What about partners and all that other crap? They're still
And,
doing it too.
and that's the thing that's what's really interesting about it is like Rolo and what's the name of the other dude? Um, he was saying
Donovan
like,
Sharp,
yo, what is his name?
Donovan Sharp, you mean, or what? Was he
No,
white
no,
black?
no. It wasn't Donovan Sharp. It was a white dude. Um,
Like,
but he was,
Yeah,
but
describe him for
either
me.
way,
Describe him for
yeah, yeah, no, it doesn't matter like that much. Trust me. But even when they were speaking, what you saw was and name it, something's going on with your mic, by the way. Um,
me.
what you
Hang on a
saw
second.
was, Rolo and the other dude were trying to tell Dr. Richard Reeves, like, yo, like, I'm telling you, these women ain't budging. They want this lifestyle, right? And that's the thing, like, Rolo refused to, like, it's like he's struggling to get that, like, yo. And remember, they're not talking about black women, right? That's the kicker. They're
yeah.
not talking about black women. They're saying, yo, they want this lifestyle. You think they're eventually gonna like get more mature and they're saying like they're not. They're not. And you could tie that to the black community by saying, when you look at FD, I I get where he's coming from, and I see the angle he's trying to slowly pull this. Once again, it's the throw black men under the bus all the way, reverse the bus, roll them over one more time, put the bus back in drive, roll them over one more good time for good measure, and then you can maybe critique one thing with the women about the women or imply something critical about the women. And quite frankly, I just don't think that's gonna work. I
Yeah, but
and I
that's what,
think
Uh,
that's what you're speaking to, Lion. But go ahead, Leon, and
yeah,
then we'll get
that's
Lion again, and then we'll
I
get Big
think.
Kev. Hmm.
Well, go ahead, Lion, because my what I'm gonna say is gonna be a little long.
Hmm.
okay. I'm gonna be quick. But the thing
Hmm.
about that conversation is what Rolo is arguing is okay. What's the incentive? Like, how are you going? Okay, you realize the
Yes,
problem, but what are
yes.
you going to do about it?
Hmm.
What are you going to do? You're going to have to find a way to incentivize the men to want to play. And if you can't incentivize the men, it's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
That's the thing he's warning about. I'm like, you're giving all this stuff to women, but you're completely and utterly forgetting about the boys, about the men. And then you wonder why they're responding at the way they're responding. And he calls them quote unquote lost boys. They're there
Hmm.
because they don't have any incentive to want to do any of this shit.
I don't think they fully appreciate you're hearing this on the margins, right? At the I can't remember who it was, a woman who I heard say something about male's indifference, and she scoffed at it, like she was annoyed by it. It's almost like, oh, so y'all, because y'all are not winning right now, y'all are gonna be indifferent. It's like, yeah, right, and
Yeah,
so
pretty much.
they really underestimated how powerful the indifference was. It's not mocking women. It's not, most men are not, they're not part of any quote unquote manosphere. They're not, they're just doing their thing. And when they realize, hey, the system ain't working for me the way I want it to, and they just, like I said, when they're going home playing video games, jacking off, and or just doing the bare minimum to subsist, and that does have an effect on your society, right? So no, I definitely see where you're coming from, and it is about incentive. And I don't. Here's the thing. I don't think, now this I will give the right this. I think the right has a way better BS answer than the left. The left doesn't have an answer. That's the
No, they
kicker.
don't.
I don't think the left does not have an answer. Period. At least the right could be like, well, we're going to go back to the 1950s and put these women back in the kitchen, and alpha your way through, and what else, John Henry, not Johnny, yeah, your way through, and da, da, da. And it's like, yeah, that ain't really going to happen like that. At least the right could give you some type of answer, even if it's not a real answer. The left doesn't even have a lie. That's the kicker. The left doesn't even have, Leon, tell me I'm lying. The left doesn't even have a lie to give you.
The left side of the argument,
Mhm.
is sacrifice yourself, black man, for everybody else. It doesn't change. It
Yeah.
doesn't
Hey,
change.
hey,
So
yeah.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead, go P.
Steve.
Real good. Go ahead, go P.
Leo was go ahead, Leo.
Go
Um,
P. You got senior.
so
You got senior privilege. You got elder privilege. You already know.
yeah, do your
No, I'm
thing.
just
Do
saying,
your
you're right.
thing, man.
They want to keep patriarchy, but keep equality. Like you said it a long time ago, Z. They want both. They want to
Yeah,
keep
you
patriarchy,
you
but they want
can't
to
have
keep
it.
egalitarianism too. And that's the argument that
Patriarchy by feminist specifications. You can't have it.
yeah, exactly. That's the thing. The FD, Chris Williamson, and Richard Reed, they're not saying anything different. They're saying the same thing. It's just
Yeah,
coming out of a different mouth and a different skin tone. They are saying the same thing. They want to
yeah,
keep patriarchy, or at least let the women benefit from patriarchy, but keep the egalitarianism system going.
yeah. You can't
No,
have both. Nope.
and what Rolo and what Richard Reed and the other, and not Richard Reed, the other guy who was arguing was saying like, no, you're going to have to make a choice.
Yeah,
And men are going to force you to make a choice.
yeah. And deal with the consequences of the choice. That's why I put the definition.
Exactly.
Y'all check my community tab. That's why I put the definition of egalitarianism in my community chat. Just to, hey, when you read that, let me. You know what? While we're on air, wait a minute. Let's do this right now. Wait a minute. Let's read that right now because it's right here. Here we go. Egalitarianism. Egalitarianism is a philosophical perspective that emphasizes equality. Well, yeah, e- equity or equality and equal treatment across gender, religion, economic status, and political belief. Let's read that one more again. Egalitarianism is a um, philosophical perspective that emphasizes equality and equal treatment. Once again, equal treatment. One more again, equal treatment across gender, religion, economic status, and political belief. So if you have egalitarianism, guess what? That means 50-50. Dear ladies, Chrissy, you heard that? 50-50. That means
This is the thing.
equal.
This is the
I'm
Yeah.
thing.
just saying.
Okay. Now
They
it's
put a
good.
they
Mhm,
excuse
mhm,
they put an emphasis on philosophical, okay? Like I've come up, and I just avoided certain arguments with guys because it's talking from a philosophical stance. And I look at philosophy just like I look at the definition of economics. It's a
mhm,
philosophy. Is
mhm,
you can attempt to apply it to the real world, but it doesn't work. No philosophy
mhm,
works in the real world because there's too many variables and other things going on. But the left, they look at black men's position as the front line to gaining everything that they need because they can't do too much without black men. And I had a conversation with my mom, man.
mhm,
If you have, she's retired military. If you have a guy that's a retired E8, and it's clear that he can do the work, and it's clear that these guys can't write resumes perfect. And it's clear
mhm,
that these guys don't interview perfect outside the military. And she was like, well, yeah, y'all don't do the work. Y'all don't do this. And she's like, I helped him with his resume, and there were still things he didn't know. I said, Mom, is he qualified to do the work? She said, yeah, but if he doesn't know this, and so he doesn't know what's being said in the book, but he knows how to do the work.
Yeah.
So I was like, get that every situation, y'all can find the excuse not to hire the black guy and hire two ladies over him. Even in government work. And she's like, no, y'all just don't do the work. I said, Mom, clearly you said he knows how to do the work. It just comes down to the reading part and the small little details that most black guys are missing because y'all don't push him. He's been in the military 20 plus years. He came out of EA. Clearly he knows how to work around people. I was like, we're not only going to be great at resumes, be great at this, be great at that. And I was like, if you're making that expectation, and she's like, well, you know how to do that. I was like, no, you corrected my resume.
Yeah, but same thing with me. It happens with me too. Even the way I speak and whatnot. Go ahead, because I actually have something to say about that. That's interesting. Yeah. And then we're gonna get Big Kev, and then we're gonna come back around and go to Naaman. Go ahead.
So the last part is they like placing women in positions. It just is what it is. We already know that. And so she got into the point, well, white guys aren't even thinking about y'all. I was like, well, look at the position of each black man to have white guys even think about us. When they were thinking about us, they were killing y'all. And now they don't have to think about us. But they do think about us.
I you know, so me and my mom have these. My mom wouldn't say that because my mom already know who I am. So if white guys are not even thinking about y'all. Yeah, you're right, Mom. That's why they elevate y'all.
Yeah,
right, or something like that. Like my mom already. Yeah. I'm so militant with the shit.
We're doing the work. I said, Mom, y'all suck at the work. I said, y'all suck at the work. Y'all just read the book and understand like the details. Y'all stick one. I was like, it's like when I went to college. These girls don't know shit. They just know how to read the book better than I did. The details when taking a quiz. And I was like, you can't have an expectation for how well a black guy does in an interview. I was like, Mom, most of my jobs I got came from my references, not my interview.
Yeah.
I would say that this goes back to everything being a political type game. Listen,
yeah, we're liberals.
Listen, it doesn't matter whether you are a Republican, whether you're a Democrat, whatever it is, right? The game is who can you control, right?
Yeah.
That's the game. And if you put females in there, well, historically, if we're to speak historically, you are able to control the women, and the women or the females will control the men or the boys, right?
Yes.
Either through programming or through some type of manipulation. There's the game being played. So hence, here we are today. What do they do? Put women or females in certain positions and then say, well, no, to your point, whereas writing that resume, well, no, they didn't qualify because they didn't have this on their resume. They didn't have that. This disqualified. But you know what? She qualified because she can write a little better. And you know what? Let me tell you something. We get double credit. She's a woman, she's black, and
she might be LGBTQ.
Yeah. You see, this is how the game is played.
Excuse me.
Wait, Naaman, give me a second, please. Wait, Naaman, please. What I see? Okay. Look, we have to be, to me, a little bit honest about this. Where white girls are the standard of ideal student, right? It's the white girl. It's the white girl, and the further you get from that, including even white boys, that's the insane part, the more difficult it is. So if the education system has been formed, especially over the past half a century, to benefit particularly white women and white girls, this is where Asian women and girls come in. This is where black women and girls come in, and Latinas come in. pretty much holding on to their coattails. When you get black men and even some white dudes who haven't been enculturated in an environment and this is where you get, even if y'all notice how some of our more white collar professional men sound now in America, they sound like white women, right? They enunciate their words like white women. Their tone is this really soft. It's white, and it drives me absolutely crazy. Because what I'm not saying is that they don't have the vocabulary. I am not saying that they don't enunciate their words correctly. I'm specifically speaking about their tone and delivery is white professional woman tone and delivery. Go ahead and explain it, and then we'll have Big Kevin, then we'll have Namer. Go ahead.
So I have a health science degree, but I'm still in school, so I work at a hospital part time. You know what I'm saying? Just to have experience. But when I looked at my left and right, it's mostly women, and the guys, they even talk softer. In the presence of women. Outside, if they're not doctors, they're very, so you do this and blah blah blah, and I hear their tone, and it's because they work around women, and instead of exerting themselves like dominantly, they attempt to work it as a team and fit into the environment. Really, I'm gonna keep it 100 because that's what I'm looking at now. Like, maybe I should have not got this health science degree, but regardless, I'm already a minority. Like I might go to break and see like two black guys. One works in medical, one works here, one works there, and they're all within their circle. So it's especially okay if you see nurses, white nurses, they talk like the women.
Yeah.
I'm just keeping it 100. It's a lot of those positions are woman dominated, and if you want to survive, you have to kind of change your attitude while still having like the same workability to go up.
That's crazy.
I would say, I'm striving to stay in this political conversation, right?
Okay.
This is a battle of attrition, man. Okay?
Yeah, it is.
This is what it is. And look, when you realize that you're losing, when you realize that that saying or phrase or quote or whatever have you, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. When you literally see it, you come with all the cheating. Now listen to what I said. You come with all the cheating. You cheat by any means necessary to stay ahead of the game, right? Especially when it's the difference between brothers and his counterpart. Look, brothers aren't born with vanity. We're just not, right? This is the reality. And when they realize that this is the reality and it's catching up to them, oh man, they got to hit you in the head all kind of ways to win, to keep winning, because they're used to winning. And so they perceive to be winning, right? But that race between the turtle and the hare is definitely real. See, because we start out as the turtle, right? But who's winning? I keep telling you, brothers, hey, you better get your PhD in how to say no. I got a PhD in noology. You better get one.
Yeah, but
and who's teaching you who's giving you the degree? Your counterpart.
Most likely. People, black guys learn how to say no, but it usually comes with status, and I hear their argument about that too, and it's like they hate the fact that women hate the fact that there's less guys in the space because they feel like the fact that there's one guy for 7 women in a lot of places, that what it turns into, that those guys feel like they have privilege just to say no and entertain certain things, which is true, but it's attached to our freedom to do so. But they're saying that in their mind we do it because we're rare at that moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so they feel like we're playing a game.
That resentment only comes from penis envy. That's all it is.
Well, that part too.
I don't want to call it. I don't want to call it penis envy. I just know, like, if I didn't have a son right now, like, I'll be straight on the same fuck shit I used to be on. You know what I'm saying? I entertain. I'm just keeping it for real. Like, but it comes. What they see is, okay, you got this educated guy. He has a decent position. You can be making 60, 70, 80. As long as you're making above 50, they feel like your ego's on 1,000. And some of the things you do is because you have the freedom to do it. And they're looking at like, oh, so he talks to this girl, he doesn't lock in with this. They don't like the fact to see that you're behaving because you understand your position and the rarity of you, not the actual fact that you're the only one there.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So
how dare you move like you free?
yeah, that's what it is.
Right.
But and they hate that shit.
Massa, he's free. He's moving like he's free, Massa.
He's moving like he's free, but it's not. You're actually moving because you're a minority, and it's just like, okay, you're playing the game like kind of like women play it. Like, she's not showing this, so I'll just be out. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, when you know your position, when you know your position,
we gotta let Big Kev in after this. We gotta let Big Kev in. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, yo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Big Kev. Go ahead.
Nah, I'm just gonna say, well, yeah, I got this position because I earned it. Oh well.
Damn you! It doesn't matter if you earned it, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Wait. Put down the barbell, Big Kev. We don't need you breaking your foot while doing the squats without no shoes.
Hysterical.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kev.
Hold on, but just a couple things that I point out here. The problem is that a lot of these issues and whatnot, we talk about like the history, like past humanity and whatnot. It's not that, because there's like a lot of historical lies that people hold on to, like the lies that a lot of the people on the right try to promote is that every human society prior to like European colonization was just this like dystopian shithole where like nobody knew anything. You know what I mean? And then the left promotes the lie that that either all women were downtrodden and oppressed, or that it was this ancient mystical magical gynocracy where
the Amazon.
Exactly like that. Amazonian fantasy.
Kingdom of Kush.
It's just like, man, listen. It's not that people haven't figured out how to become socially and culturally advanced. The problem that you run into is, and I think as Bobby Hemming said, as Bobby Hemming used to say, one man's God is another man's devil. So if you look throughout history, it's a battle of people that are socially and culturally advanced, being overran or subverted by people that are like, ruthlessly violent and manipulative, and then the people that are ruthlessly violent and manipulative essentially reinventing the wheel and basically creating the very same problems that they were either trying to run away from, or that that the culture that they conquered had already figured out. You know what I mean? Like when people talk about and someone in the chat talked about the issue with like infant mortality. Again, previous cultures already figured that shit out. It's like wash your hands, basic hygiene. You know what I mean?
I just want to know why you mentioning the Europeans and the aristocracy that they bought over here in America and pretend like it don't exist. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying in relation.
I know. Remember what I just said, Big Kev. When you get a chance, rewind. You'll laugh. Go ahead.
That's what I was talking. I thought he was talking about European immigrants coming to America, escaping the same shit they perpetuate.
No,
that's what I thought
I'm saying.
No. I'm talking about, like I said, I'm talking about the aristocracy, or hell, even I post this, Mr. Z, as you shown, people talk about these ideals of like these classical liberal ideals. I'm like, do you get this? A lot of these ideals come from like a lot of Amerindian customs. Like if you look at the Constitution, it's pretty much a reskin of the Iroquois' Great Law of Peace, or even the ideals of socialism. In and of itself is a kind of like a gross bastardization of like the communal living situation that a lot of people in like the Iroquois Confederacy, used to live in. You know what I mean? So it's like you say these people are civilized savages, yet you're copying the very same ideas that they did and using it to promote your.
Who said we can't be hypocrites?
Exactly. You know what I mean? So it's just
right.
So that's number one, and then number two is and I already said this in the chat, Mrs. Z, with my super chat. I'm like, the issue that you're running into now, man, with this whole quote unquote female empowerment and uplifting is that it's really just a cult of toxic femininity. If you really look at it, it's really just, that's all it really is. It's a cult of toxic femininity.
90% of female empowerment, uplift, and protection nowadays is merely a cult of worshiping and coddling toxic femininity. Yes, sir.
Yes. And you see people like SD do it. You see all these other people do it. They know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. You got to stop acting like they're so naive. They know exactly what they're doing. The reason why they do that is because, number one, it gives them it not only does it promote a lot of like hostility, you know what I mean, between the sexes and whatnot, but it also gives them a false sense of moral supremacy. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
Like they can brag about how allegedly morally superior they are. You know what I mean? And
I'm like those Negroes want patriarchy.
Exactly, and it's like, and I get tired of people talking about egalitarian, not because you necessarily can't have it, at least on a small scale, but it's like the people who preach egalitarianism the most, they don't give a fuck. They do not practice that shit. They do not practice it. They do not practice it in their private life. They don't practice it when they
Big Kev. Here you go. Yeah. Remember what I keep on bringing up. FD's wife used to work in corporate America, and she was earning good money. And he was a teacher, I think. He started doing YouTube. I don't even think it took FD a year. He started doing numbers. Now I think he got 500 and some odd, 400 and some odd thousand subscribers. Guess what his wife does now? Stay-at-home wife. Thank you. So all that talk sound nice until you're in the position. So you sell it, and that's why I keep on saying it. All these people keep on selling us on this thing. And let me say it like this. They are virtue signaling, so I agree with you on that, Big Kev. But I think they really mean it in theory, right?
Yeah.
So they're selling us on this theory, but when they get a chance to practice something different, they practice something different. You see what I'm saying? But we're left with all the theory. So, and this is one of my biggest issues. Just come out and say it. Look, you don't got the money to be patriarchal. Just come out and say it, but they refuse to just say it. Look, patriarchy is for well-off white dudes, and then the black dudes that could imitate them, and other men of color that could imitate that shit. All the rest of you got to be out here freestyling with all the other whatevers. When I said that the first time, that's when FD did jumped on my channel the first time, because I said exactly what I just said now, right? And I kind of beat up on myself because I didn't get to stick to that. The conversation kind of went in different directions, but I really want the left to actually address this. Be honest. Male leadership, all of this is reserved for well-off, moving in the shadows ass white men, and then the other men of color that could imitate that because they have enough, right?
Exactly.
All the rest of you be out here with all the other stuff. Go ahead.
Listen. Yeah, like you said, quote unquote patriarchy is for racist white men and elitist wannabe elitist Negroes. You know what I mean? The rest of y'all just got to deal with. You know what I mean?
All this pansexual, non-binary, all the others, and I'm saying that for a reason because that's what they're really saying is that all the rest of you can't afford to do this man, woman, she stay at home, or even if she not
even afford. Just say you don't deserve respect. Period.
Oh, well,
the only ones that deserve respect. You know what I mean? And
Big Kev went to it. Yep.
Yeah, and then going back to what Brother Penasek, rest easy, hell pan. Thing he used to say is like, just avoid getting caught up in the argument. Like when the Roger Report did the whole like black male privilege checklist and whatnot. One thing that one question I posed, you know what I mean, is this. It's like if your average so-called black American man is so privileged, especially compared to the women and the non-straight people, all right, cool. How many of y'all would be willing to trade places with us in society right now? If we're so
nobody wants to do that. Absolutely
no.
The
basketball players. The basketball players. That's it.
Yeah, the elites. Yeah. That's it. They want the sports stars and the entertainers' lives. That's what they want.
Okay.
Other than that, no.
Until you got the pressure to perform. That is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
or some girl you used to deal with 5 years ago comes back and just hits you upside the head with all these charges, whether they're true or not. But she waited a good 5 years and married with 2 kids to come back and hit you upside the head with some allegations. I'm just saying.
Well, this goes back to.
I was saying the same thing.
Go ahead,
Well,
Lion, then Go
okay. Go
P,
ahead. I'm
then
sorry. Yeah.
we'll go with Namer. Then we really got to get Namer in here. You're about to explode. Go ahead, y'all.
Yes, sir. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
you got it.
I'm on the
Go ahead. Go ahead, y'all. Whoever want to go first, go ahead. But Go P or Lion, whichever one.
Well,
Go ahead, Go P,
I was
because
just
you
going to
unmuted. Go
say,
ahead.
I was just going to say this,
Mhm.
because I strive to keep us. I mean, when we have these conversations, right? They grow legs and walk all across, the street, down the block, blah
True.
blah. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
trying to, keep us on topic here. Okay, this is a conversation about the politics, right?
Mhm.
And we're engaged in the politics, good, bad, or indifferent,
Yeah.
all the time, from childhood on up. And here we are, right? Here we are. And I'm telling you, brothers, look, man, uh, get your PhD in noology, man. It don't matter.
I'm still in
It
noology.
don't
I'm still in that.
it's PhD in noology, man. All right. Look,
That's
it doesn't matter if you have if you're this I don't like to use the word, but select few, right? It doesn't matter if you're non-select few. No. Regardless of who you meet, because they all have that same mindset. When they talk to you, or when you go to talk to them, and then they're filling out what they can get from you, and then
Mhm.
they will deal with you. Okay, and that's anybody, right? And I'm saying, a lot of, like the FD signifiers, right?
Mhm.
They fall into that male category versus men category. Okay, this goes back to the tone that you were speaking about, Mr. Z. I think it was
Mhm.
Mr. Z.
Yeah. Yep.
How men want to sound feminine and stuff, but no, I'm saying you losing when you do that. Okay, you're losing. Look, if you a man, carry yourself like a man, grab your dangle like a man, and speak like a man all day. This is what they mad about. So if they mad about it, then of course you're doing something right. Haven't we heard that? If you don't
Yeah.
have haters, you're doing something wrong.
Mhm. I
I'm
I
gonna leave
think
it at that.
no. I think that most people, and after this, Namer, you go ahead. I think we have a whole lot of unaware people, because even when we speak about that tonality, right, that tone of voice, the enunciation of words, the way you just carry yourself in these different environments, I understand this
Hmm.
quote unquote professionalism, right? I get it. I worked in an office for multiple years. I'm saying that the men that are engaging in this, more often than not, I don't think they even realize what they're doing. And this is with me working with those dudes. This is with us having those conversations. They don't even, I'm talking about white, black, and the Latinos that do engage in this. Now, mind you, not all of them engage in this, but the ones that do
No, they
are
know.
not. You think they do? Because I've had conversations, and I'm thinking about two people in particular where, like, and this was years ago. This is back in 2015. But like literally, do you hear how y'all sound? And
No,
like,
Mr. V.
go ahead, go ahead.
No, Mr. V. Listen,
Hmm.
they know, and if they
Hmm.
They
don't
know.
know, it's because somebody who knew didn't tell them.
Mm.
Right?
Hmm.
No, they know just like I
They
know.
know.
They
They
know.
know, right? And if they don't know, they playing like they don't know. It's
Mm. Hmm.
the fuse hasn't been lit yet, right?
Okay.
I'm
It's
saying
worse than
they
that, bro.
know. The pro look, we children, boys. We're gonna stick with the boys. The boys have been programmed from childhood. Why you think they act a certain way, do certain things, or you see that or you hear them and you be like, oh, you've been around your mama too long,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's there. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of when the fuse will be lit, right? And how they
No, that's
react,
true.
how they respond. Look, a lot of times what they do end up in jail or end up in a situation they can't handle. Why? Because uh, either that fuse was lit and they said, I was taught this and I found out my mama was telling me wrong, right? They find out. When they find out, when they realize, man, that's what happens. You know, they when they start realizing that, why am I listening to this broad tell me the wrong thing? She's been manipulating me and using me the wrong way. She has relegated me to being a utility all my life. I had to fight.
At the fight, you have both.
Go ahead, Naaman. It's your go. Go ahead.
Oh.
Thank you. Oh, hold on. First of all, fuck everybody. Anyway, I had to get that off my chest. And don't ask me what chest just because I'm skinny. Yeah, I'm a skinny motherfucker. Whatever. Fuck y'all. You want to talk about, like what Gold Professor said about, people being feminine, this, now, third. First of all, has everybody forgot about the term gay for pay? And I'm not talking about the adult film industry. There's some dudes in the position they're in. They gotta talk a certain way just to get by. You ever heard of somebody who's straight? I don't know if anybody's ever heard that term. I don't think anybody's heard it. And
something's up with your mic, Namer, too. I don't know, but we can hear you. But it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it just me?
It's muffled.
Yeah.
It's coming in high pitched and a little bit
Yeah,
unclear.
some with his mic, some with his
Yeah,
mic.
it's a little high pitched and unclear.
I'm on my Bluetooth on my tablet. It's just acting up like that. Do y'all hear me okay now?
Go ahead, and then we'll get Kepsi after it, and then we'll get Compassionate. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can't see. Yeah, drink. Sorry. I thought you said big cat, so I get mixed them sometimes. But the thing is, there's sometimes when you gotta have a conversation with some dudes, and it's just that how we so insecure about who we are. Let's not forget, when we talk about masculinity, some people have misconceptions among our own sex, not gender, sex, when it comes to, I mean the male sex, folks, when it comes to this whole concept of masculinity and such. Because even if I was like having a conversation with them, be straight up with them, honest about certain things, even if it's things that really sound feminine to them, if they suspect it as feminine gay, then they start to bitch up and look at you like, are you fucking gay or some shit like stuff like? Or if I talk about something, I will see a motherfucker bitch up about it. I've seen this in my own culture when I talk to certain dudes about certain things straight up. Especially with trifling as hell. They just they try to talk to you like a man, but you realize there's nothing really masculine about it. But it comes from the programming, the socialization we've had.
Yeah.
And not to mention, there's you're allowed to be a man within a certain parameter. It's just like what Neely Fuller was telling us. We're telling y'all, excuse me. So this whole thing about, you talk a certain way, you watch yourself. And let's not forget, some people are running on autopilot. The vast majority of people do not have the self-awareness that some of us have. Some of us gained our self-awareness because someone talked to us and explained to us what we're doing. Then we became self-aware. Others, they're just completely running on autopilot. If you tell them, they're just going to be willfully ignorant because either they don't care. The ones who are aware, they either don't care or just they see benefit in acting a certain way. That's how it is when it comes to this whole notion about masculinity and such, and trying to not talk feminine. But even if you were talking to a person that's masculine, they're going to try to fuck with you by saying, dude, you sound feminine, whatnot. Even if you were talking straight up masculine, so you got to be sure and take everything with a grain of salt and say, what's feminine? You talk a certain way, or you think a certain way. That's just some people just have an issue with you being individual. You know what I'm saying?
Can I add something to that?
No,
He's done. Can I add something to that?
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, and then we'll have KFC. Go ahead.
Okay, I don't think y'all have to totally agree with what I'm saying, but I recognize an unnecessary load of. I'm gonna use the wrong words, but y'all get unnecessary masculinity. That's uncalled for masculinity, maybe. So
let me cut you off and say this, because I feel like I know where you're going. Cat Williams, when he said, "Damn, nigga, you gang banging on breakfast?" Go ahead.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Like what I know, I wrote it on. I forgot the guy. He had two doctors, and there were 4 black ladies. 2 of them were nurses. 2 of them were doctors. And I wrote a long ass message on his it's those pro black guys or whatever that talk to women. And what I know and what I've seen for the last year and a half, and then due to my woman being in the medical field, these ladies burn out. You know what I'm saying? And then there's kids dying, people dying,
Yeah.
and you take in account of even what I said to BGS, and he played that video about emotional intelligence and women in the workplace. You think in certain fields, you don't have to utilize your masculinity like that because you get to work at women's pace. You don't have to work harder than them in the medical field. You work at the same pace they do.
Mm.
And these ladies be blowing out their backs and they be burning out. They blow out their backs because you got to lift up patients, you got to wrestle with patients, you got to hold
There's a pun in there somewhere.
Yeah.
You got all type of shit that you have to do, and you see these ladies burn out pretty fucking fast. That's why they're always on vacation. They work 60 hours back to back to back to back, then they go on vacation. So you don't have to search yourself really. The management does that. They force that, and it's always equal. It's very egalitarian. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna catch yourself cleaning up blood, 6 times in a row while they're just throwing shit in a machine and cleaning it. You're not gonna catch that. It's gonna be equally distributed. So when I think about masculinity,
So what did you say about the Black Panthers just now? Go ahead.
Yeah. It's actually uncalled for. It's unnecessary. It's like I can cut the switch on when I go certain places, but like where I live right now, I can walk out and wave at white old neighbors and shit. I don't have to mean mug anybody. I don't have to carry a certain amount of masculinity. It's kind of weird. Like
No, but it is what I said. Then it is the I get what you're saying. So this is where this is where the left comes in and says this is what we're trying to achieve. Like this is the whole point. We're trying to make an environment where you don't have to be this quote unquote Superman all the time, which kills your life force, which keeps you on edge, etc., and then you can do literally what you're saying now.
But they can't create it. Women can't create it. Guys create it. So if you have a whole bunch of poor people, they don't create the environment because you're lifting up the women. So they're just assimilating into a safer environment if they make the money.
Yeah, no, it's good. You had perfect point, and I'm gonna channel my FD signifier today because what we're talking about, what Gold P said about be a man. I know. Guys like FD signifier and our opposition, I suppose, at the academic level, the ones that think they're learned, they're convinced. Like FD doesn't. He'll hear this conversation and he's convinced that that he's on the cutting edge of gender theory.
I've said that. I've said this before. Yep.
And that we don't understand these imitations of masculinity, like this postmodern, post-structural. What they perceive as the cutting edge of social science, and Black men are essentially like behind
we're Neanderthals. Exactly.
Way behind the 8 ball. So he perceived the Black manosphere as like not. He misperceived the Black manosphere. So when like Gold P says like be a man, or when you guys are talking about like vocal tone and or even behavior in those type of environments, they're convinced that we're performing a form of masculinity based on white men, and that's where their thinking stops. So everything we say after that, they assume we don't understand concepts like that, or are not caught up, or don't even have.
We're either imitating white men, or we're trying to defend our misguided form of masculinity. On a defense of what we think manhood is against white men. I agree with this. Keep going. Yeah.
No, that's then oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Well, no,
I was just gonna ask. Then what are the women performing then? Their idea of white women.
But here we go. Right. The difference is
no. Let
women become. Go ahead.
Well, no. I mean, that's a good question. I think that ties into it. I think they start from the premise, because these fucking theories and departments were headed by women, and these shits were invented. This whole concept was invented by women. They start with the premise that women aren't women. Feminism is supposed to save women from their performance of femininity. So they're on the cutting edge also. They're way ahead of us from their point of view.
I actually pointed that out, Compassionate. I actually said that a while back. I said, yeah, a lot of this the reason why a lot of these women defend these theories, or try to say defend feminism as an ideology. It's not necessarily because it's on the right side of history. It's because again, it gives them the idea that you can help, quote unquote, save women and help them become enlightened, quote unquote, by freeing them for what you would call the feminine burden of performance.
Exactly.
If they didn't have any standards or expectations put on them, they would just become these wonderful, magical, compassionate. And it's like reality is the exact opposite.
From their point from feminist theorists' point of view, that was the breakthrough. That was the breakthrough when they discovered that women were performing femininity, a patriarchal dominating concept or construct.
That femininity dictated by the male gaze, and then reinforced by other women higher up on the totem pole who dictate down to these women how you should you should perform femininity this way because it works for me. So in other words, it's a woman like, let's say, a Margot Robbie, right? Blonde, blue-eyed woman that even if she wasn't famous, she would have been well off because one of these rich-ass white dudes would have took care of her. Then dictating to other white women what femininity should look like, and then those women dictating to women of color, including black women, what femininity should look like, while also expecting black women to actually not really challenge their femininity. Because then you challenge it like, no, I'm still supposed to be the beauty standard. I'm still supposed to be the princess in the glass case, while you try to be like me, but also you mule for me. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think on the real, hey, we having a real conversation. I think really females don't like femininity. Because if they did, they wouldn't run from it.
No, they totally hate it. They totally hate it.
If they was really about being feminine and living in their femininity, they wouldn't run from it. Now, somebody could easily ask me, what you mean they're running from it? How they gonna run? Well, when you are not desiring to look like yourself, be yourself. You want to be others. You want to look like a man, talk like a man, do everything a man does, and still be equal. But you can't accept the consequences of a man. You're running from that femininity.
Professor.
Go ahead, Compassion, because I already know where you're going. Go ahead.
I will only disagree with you in this way. I don't think they and I'm a millennial, thinking about the women I grew up around. And BGS is highlighted this. I don't think they know they're feminine. They don't know of femininity. Femininity is a dark cave that they've never walked into. So I think, and they've been totally socialized, pseudo masculine. So I don't think I think what we see them doing is fear. They don't know.
Well, let's go with that. Well, let's go with that. Right? Hold on. Let's go with that. Let's say they don't know. Right? Let's go with that. All right?
Yeah.
But with that being said, they've had a lot of people who can give them the right education on what it's supposed to look like, right? Now, ignorance
15 minutes, everyone, 15 minutes. Go ahead, people.
Ignorance is not an excuse for the law, right? Not knowing the law, right?
Of course.
Now, if they don't know, but yet they know how to go get the money from you, isn't that a problem?
Okay, let me ask you this, Professor. Let me ask you this.
You go ahead.
Who's
I gotta get Kev C in here eventually, yo.
Last question. Who's the party that can show them true femininity?
Men.
Low key, I agree. Low key, I agree.
I mean, like in the sense of modeling it for them.
No. See now, come on now, modeling? Come on now. No,
you asked the question. You said you said they're being they know they have a source of femininity they're just running from. I'm questioning what's that source? Is it their mamas? Their grandmamas?
The source are the men. because the man is going to tell you or tell them. The men is going to tell them
what they like, what they want, and what it is.
What they want. Look,
Yeah,
here's the femininity. Here's the femininity. Look, the man says, "I want you to take care of yourself."
Mm-hmm.
The man teaches her how to take care of herself. Now, it's
Mm-hmm.
not his fault that she doesn't listen.
No,
there's a difference between hearing and listening. There's a difference between hearing and listening, right? It's not the man's fault that she doesn't listen. This is a whole problem. She doesn't listen.
But Professor, but her mother would have to train her on how to take care of herself. A man can't train her how to take care of herself. Let's be serious.
But look, if
like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. I love this. Go ahead, y'all.
if her mother wasn't listening, then what happens to the daughter?
Exactly.
What I'm saying is the men are saying the correct thing. Look, I want you to take care of yourself. No, you don't need that on your head. No, wash your tank now. Wash it.
But go, Professor. See, I see I'm a channel BGS. BGS would come in and say, no, the women train the girls. The women listen to the patriarchy. The patriarchy gives those broad instructions, like you said. The women come together and they figure out all the details, and then they train the girls. The men don't directly train the girls in any society in that way.
Yeah.
So it's not the men. We can't train femininity into our women. Their mothers can't either because their mothers didn't get trained femininity into them. And
listen.
I'm done.
Listen.
I'm mute up.
Okay, listen. Okay,
listen.
You have a man, woman, and child, right?
Yes, sir.
You have man, woman, and child, right? The man is the one who applies order to the relationship or the family, who gives order to the family, right? We can agree with that.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, if the man is saying, now it may seem like I'm saying this is all on the man. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if the man is applying order to his family and he's saying, look, woman, I want you to make sure the family is in order. That girl, make sure she has her hair combed, because the woman is supposed to have her hair combed. The woman is supposed to make sure she's dressed right. The woman is supposed to make sure she is not exerting certain behaviors that are unbecoming of her, right?
Yeah.
This is part of that order.
Yeah.
Now, if she's not listening to that, being that, she thinks she's supposed to move how she can, she wants to be equal and
she'll make it up.
Then she's going to mess it up, right? Yeah. Here we are with this conversation. What I'm saying is, men apply through order. Men are showing what feminine, because he's telling his woman to look, have yourself together. Now, if she doesn't listen to what he's saying, that's her problem.
But the only
wait, compassion. Wait. We gotta let Kev see in. Go ahead, Kev C.
I mean, you guys are right in the way that you're talking, but the bottom line is, black women are going to say, look, because the father wasn't there, I didn't know how to be feminine. I had to be masculine because mama had to do everything, and I didn't have a chance to learn how to be feminine. That's their excuse for everything. And the bottom line is, they're not picking men who are actually, give them the structure, order, and discipline that a man would actually give in a family type situation. So basically, it's this long circle jerk of, well, I can't be feminine because I didn't learn how, and there wasn't a man, and my mother, you had to do everything by herself, and we struggled and this, that, and the third, and you men are all fucked up. That's literally what they're saying.
Well, I'm gonna just say,
real quick, go, Professor, real quick. So for this, and this is specifically for Kev C. Kev C, you gave us a bit of your background. If I see you as an elder and the man you are, knowing your background, those women don't have an excuse.
No, they don't. And the thing is that I'm going to make sure that they get the structure, order, and discipline. But they have to actually deal with me and follow my leadership, direction, ministry, and guidance. And if they're not going to do that, then they get extricated from my, vicinity.
So
I'm not going to
So this goes into a listening conversation. You just said what I literally been saying. They have to. You gave order, and that order came with a masculine and feminine energy. That's the yin and yang.
But this is the only thing. This is the thing. I think this was missing. We missing the structural component to this discussion. We're missing that, like things don't. It's almost like the chicken egg.
Which one came first? Yeah.
Like the family doesn't exist in a vacuum where it's a man, woman, and child. In theory, it's a community of people that then they form families. So in theory, your wife would not be a blank slate coming into your family. She would have been trained. Ideally, she'd have been trained in her own family, come into your family with a certain set of values and shit,
base skills.
Base fundamental shit that then you as a man you just organize, and then you continue your order and structure,
and vice versa. By the way.
Yeah, so it's
where you know the responsibility and accountability part of your set of skills, and she know exactly.
But so exactly, so you can't. It's not so much so like the husband's responsible if the wife doesn't train the children properly. That's what BGS talks about. He's saying this shit is completely fucked, and we have no chance because structurally, none of the women were trained to be mothers, and men can't train you to be a mother after the fact. So we're fucked.
Let me say this before you go, Leon. Let me say this before you go, because I want to add this to Leon. Now, Leon, us being on the left, how this look, because Compassionate and Gold Professor and Kempsey are speaking about structure. How this sound with the left with postmodernism and post-structuralism? Literally, the title is post-structuralism. I'm just saying. Go ahead.
Exactly.
So, structure, cultural or tribal structure. That means it has to work, and you have to take into account of the class that people come from, because like I said earlier, they assimilate into other groups that they follow the structure if they live in a different neighborhood from where they came. So where I live, it's a little bit more conservative, right? I can walk outside, cut on my camera, you know what I'm saying? You can tell me what you think my neighborhood is like. So we assimilate into other groups. So the idea of structure is just like emotional intelligence in the workplace. You have to assimilate to the behavior of the community that you're in. So when we have these ideas about what femininity or masculinity is, there's a lack of it on both sides. Because what I mean, your ability to do it. So if a woman comes from borderline poverty or working class where a mother always works, there's no ability to have those ideas of femininity, like to maintain their class of, working class or making it to the middle class. The idea for me to make up that difference for my woman to behave a certain way would take me working 80 hours a week. And I say, fuck that, because it won't be available to me in the same fashion. So
but do you think the variable is the working part? Because how does that explain that like third world countries where women work and they still somehow transmit femininity to their daughters?
So you're looking at an aspect of a culture that you like. Like I can look at, say for instance, okay, my parents live one block away from my wife's parents. Mrs. Z's done heard me pick up my kid before. You know what I'm saying? I pick them up from one grandma's house, take them to the other grandma's house.
Yeah, I've heard you say that.
Yeah. They live one block apart. Okay, think about if I didn't have that. I would be dealing with a different. Yeah, it's the convenience factor. It's the convenience is having a tribe, and a lot of people don't have a tribe. So your choice is, $700-800 worth of daycare. Or your wife participating and doing more and you doing more, then it's like you're fucking a zombie that lays on her back.
Which is that's actually a perfect point, Leon. Like you're talking about structure, and in Black America, we lack that cohesive structure. So like you said, so it necessitates that our women work, because we for the last 60 years kind of disintegrated any type of tribal or not nuclear, but like like a kinship network. We disintegrated that. People don't have fucking family reunions no more. And so it's
disintegrated through segregation, mass migration, military, moving to not only just cities but towns that have work, like people going to the military, especially just looking for work outside of where you live. I'll put it like this, bro. I live in Texas. I can go to these small ass towns, and guess what? All their daughters go to liberal colleges and never come back. And their populations is being overran by Mexicans. Okay,
facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts, scary facts.
So even the white daughters are going to school to escape the small town. and white people's if we talk about white people that are basically black, that's small town white people. Look at their economies. It's a fucking warehouse, a truck stop. It's nothing serious. And so people look to escape those, and that's migration regardless. It's migration. And so you break up your family structures. You break up your family structures in your network for better, but then you end up paying for it on the back end through daycare or having to do more labor in
You
the house for
mean what
both
we're
men
in
and
now?
women. Yeah, what we're in
What
now.
we're in now.
You know?
Literally.
I would say
Because I make the joke, like, if I didn't have a structure, I would have definitely tried to find it or not had a kid.
I would say the
So
biggest break in that family structure is women making children without a husband. That's it right there. That would be.
I agree with that.
If you're gonna, if you're a woman and you're thinking about how hard it is for you to take care of kids and live your life and do everything else that women are supposed to do and be feminine and all this other stuff and actually attract a man, if you did it in reverse and you produced children and multiple children out of wedlock, then at this point we don't really want to hear your complaints. You intentionally did that, so
I
you get
get
what
it, but that takes, like, when you start looking at people that make 50 to 100K, they have the least kids that are black. They have the least. You're
Yeah,
talking
you
about,
said 50. Wait. Pause right there. You say that one more again. 50 to 100K have the least amount of children.
Yes, they have the least amount of kids,
For
especially
black
if they're
people.
black, and even if for black
Yeah.
people, yeah, because
Yeah.
we don't have the tribe when you start moving out for different type of jobs. And when you just ask a lady where she's from and you see where she works, and it's like, haha, you don't have the tribe. So they have the least amount of kids. Like, the whole thing about black women having kids, that's kind of dead. You're talking about, just like they're talking about the groups of guys that have multiple kids. The groups of women that have multiple kids are practically in the same economic situation a lot of the time. You know what I'm saying?
So this is something that I like to emphasize. I brought this up a few days ago. Actually, again, the birth rate is 1.8 for black people. Your hood ass cousin with the 6 kids from the 5 different dudes is one out of how many women? Because most of them either are not having children or are having one child. And even for the hood sister that had a kid at like 19 and 18, she only got that one kid. If you're lucky, you get a second one when she's in her freaking early 30s. That's how it usually go in the hood now. It's not back in the day in the hood where, once again, Keisha got 6 kids from 5 different dudes. That it's not that it doesn't happen. It's just not what people are thinking. Because when people say that, we talking about the 80s and the 90s. We are far from there now. And I agree with you 100. But go, y'all finish up.
I think we look at those smaller groups, which it is actually a large group of women, but they're not within that realm of making income, or their husband made income and it didn't work out. Most women, if they're making a living wage, they didn't have the kid 18, 19. They had it when she was 25, and she might only be making 40 or 50, but she has a baby daddy that's making 40 or 50 or 60. And she might have one more kid.
New model. Yeah, that's the new model. What you're saying is the new model. That really and so Kev C is right about not marrying the man and not forming that union. But the new model around the way now is exactly what Leon just said. It's the sister that had her first kid at 25. She's making 40 grand a year, 45,000. And she has that kid, and when that kid is like 15, that's when she has her second kid, and that's it. If even, because y'all will be surprised, man. I said it before. Nobody want to hear me when I say it. A lot of these women ain't having sex, and some of them that are, they ain't doing what you think they doing. And yeah, we just live in a different world, bro. It's different. And tying that to what we were saying, what I was saying earlier with FD and the swirlonomics thing. I think you gotta address and he somewhat addressed the environment, but the environment that's creating these kind of weird ass quote unquote family models that people aren't happy with. Let me say this. The women aren't even happy with this. They're going along with it. They taking what they can get from it. They're benefiting from it, but they're not exactly happy with this either. This shit is eating everyone alive. to be honest with you.
They're not.
Yeah.
These ladies
and this goes to what you were saying,
are burnt out.
Yeah.
Burnt
no,
out,
this goes to what you were saying about to go out there and make the money. you often have to move away from your network, or you're working all the time. Like, yo, Mr. Z is working 70 some odd hours a week, bro. Like, I got to take days off to really do boyfriend girlfriend stuff often, or we got to schedule it in a certain way. So, and that's for me to maintain, how I want to live. But like Leon has said, but I have a network, at least for now, but my parents and her parents are getting old, right? So like, so it is exactly what you're saying. And these are things that I think we need to think about. But when you have the FDs and other, black lefties, and even the black right, like the black right overemphasizes the money part. Like they all like that, bro, they OD on that, right? And what I dislike about the left is the playing down the environment, and then really playing down how much the women are saying, everyday women. I'm not talking about the handful of progressive elite women in their circles. I'm talking about everyday black women that are saying something completely different. Like after you get beyond these niggas ain't ish thing, right? Well, I already used profanity. We've been using profanity. These niggas ain't shit thing. After you get past that and you keep on talking to him, then all of the other stuff that come with it is actually, I would like for a nigga to take this shit off my shoulders, and I wouldn't mind a man leading in this way. And like when you talk to the Kim Fosters, they never get to that part. It's like all the conversation is stuck in what they're talking about. What Khadijah saying, what Kim Foster saying, what Napi Adehoba saying, what T. Noir saying. And we never get to the point of like the everyday black woman, after she get over that 5 minutes or 10 minutes of ranting about how niggas ain't shit, when she finally break down and say, yeah, I wouldn't like for a nigga to take off this shit from my shoulders, and I wouldn't mind a nigga leading, especially if he paying some of this shit. Like that part. And I hate that FD doesn't say that shit. Say it.
Because he doesn't get that point of what's really going on. And it's like I would talk to him about it, but he'll still pull the same shit. It's like, bro, you're not born in the working class. You were born in a middle class family. You know what I'm saying? And
I think he might have been born in working class though. I think he elevated himself out of that. But especially now, like his sons are gonna be super straight, like super good, right? And so for me, it's just seeing people, and even he said that when he was on my channel, like he know the women that we're describing, which is the majority of them. So if you know them, you know how they speak, you were raised by them. These are your moms and your aunts. Then why are you speaking really only for the T Noir and Kim Foster circle? Because what you're saying now is the type of stuff Kim Foster says, but that's not what the majority of black women are on, and you know it.
Yeah, but Kim Foster, you got to remember, she was born middle class. And
she was definitely born upper middle class. Yeah, you're right about that.
Her thing is to maintain, her idea of freedom is, buying the bags, the purses, the trips. To maintain that, she has to continue. That's the thing that people don't get. To maintain getting better than a Michael Kors purse or a Coach purse, you have to continue working. Like I buy my woman a Michael Kors purse. If she want a Fenty bag, she has the ability to pay for that herself. You know what I'm saying? That's why she works. So if you want that, I'll put it like this. If I was only working, I would buy my woman a Kia Accent. Okay? Just straight up. You can have a Kia Accent. But her ability
it's the worst. Let him land with that. Key action. But when she wants, and when she's gonna buy herself,
she can have that Jeep Grand Cherokee. You know what I'm saying? She can have that Jeep, the fully loaded model. You know what I'm saying? I'm not paying for that, but you can have the 10 grand, and you can buy the rest. Okay? That's just, you know what I'm saying? That's just the thing. Like,
no, it's true. And look, I admit, like, even for me, I buy my girl something expensive once a year. Like I told y'all, I bought her the red bottoms for her birthday. She ain't getting nothing, bro. She is getting Vans for Christmas, bro.
Vans.
If she listening in right now, babe, no, she's in the Vans. That's why. So yeah, she's in the Vans. So I'm getting us a pair of matching Vans for Christmas. That's it. Because so, but like Leon is saying, to do that, you have to be on it financially. And what we fundamentally have are women wanting the extras. we've been advertising. We've had television for what, over a century now, or something like that, or a century, give or take. And so women want this. They want the lifestyle that they saw upper middle class white women have. And so working class white women want that, Asian women want that, Latina women want that, Indigenous women want that, Black women want that. They want that lifestyle. And so what they're telling us is that it's not enough. And they're going out to literally buy this lifestyle and then have the accompanying man to that. The reason why you see I would argue, the reason why you see a lower marriage rate for lower classes is because the women are saying, I'm not marrying you because why would I do that? Because you can't afford me this lifestyle. Look at look at who's getting married and staying married, and tell me that's not strictly a function of class and income.
Yeah, it's a function of class and income.
Go ahead, KFC, and then Leon.
Yeah, when women start talking about this lifestyle, then one of the things one of the things they have to consider is, first of all, how young and hot are you?
Straight up.
Like, don't talk to me about a lifestyle and what you want and all this expensive shit, and you showing up, with kids, overweight, you're over the age of 30. Like, come on now, like, you better show up right. Don't talk to me about a
But you ain't built me Wakanda, KFC. Where's my Wakanda?
How young are you and how hot are you?
Good.
How much are you willing to cooperate in order to get this lifestyle? Those are the questions.
So we'll have Gopi, Leon, and then we'll name it and we'll close out. Go ahead, Gopi.
Well, I'm gonna just say all I got for them bras, or any bra, is no, and bubble gum and dick. And hey, look, I got a lot of bubble gum.
I swear, when you said all I got for these women, I knew the bubble gum and hard D I knew that was gonna be in there. But when you said no, I don't know why that's the one that cracked me up. But I knew the bubble gum and hard D was coming. I knew that was on its way.
That's all I got, man. So a lot of a lot of bubble gum, dick. Okay, that's it.
That's a good position to be in.
It really is, though. Yeah. It really is.
Let's wrap it up. Go ahead, Leon. Go ahead.
So I think at the end of the day, it's more about, okay, we know kind of what we're dealing with when you go out on a date or you're with a woman, her ideas, and it's easy to talk to her about how she's going to get there. I don't mind. They find it offensive. I used to ask, like, you want this? How are you going to do it?
Leon, it's like we're having the same conversation, bro. It's like we're having the same conversation. You said you had this conversation with your lady?
Yeah.
We having the same conversation, player.
I'm a complete asshole. Like, it makes them feel insecure when you actually.
Leon, I swear we haven't, bro. We the same person. We're the same person.
Hey, I'm told that all the time, man. I'm told that I am an a-hole on a regular basis. Hey, from my play mom all the way down to the bras that desire to deal with me. All they say is, all you say is no. I can't have nothing. Well,
Well, let me ask you a question, then I'll finish. Okay. What kind of tax bracket are you in? Because I'm in the 70-ish. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the 70s. That's for where I am. That's a whole lot of fucking privilege. And Mrs.
I'm a little bit. I'm right under you. I'm just like just a couple dollars less than where you are.
I'm above 90.
Okay.
Oh man, hey, we're about to take a trip. Hey, Leo, we're about to take a trip.
How old are you?
Masked up.
How old are you?
I'm 54.
Again, Mrs. Z, what did I say? Okay, look at the stats at 50-year-old guys, and you see you're 1 for 7, bro.
Yeah.
At 53, in your generation, you probably 5 out of 10 of your boys are dead that you grew up with.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah.
Probably 2 of your boys are in jail from back then.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Then there's me. That's what they hate. They hate the fact that
Gopi is out here and he can say no.
He can say no, but they're believing you're saying no in your behaviors like that because they get that you're the only one in the room. Pretty much. at the end of the day. That you can play that game. That's what I was talking about earlier. And guys in your age, they can play that game. I see the retired military. I'm a military brat, so I see them 50-year-old niggas.
I was
Y'all
military.
have it. My dad.
Military. Yeah. I
Oh,
was military.
see, can't even make it. This is it. I can't make this shit up, bro. I can't make it up, bro.
Hey, my guy D said, my guy D in the chat, he said, I'm flexing. You know, hey, I'm always flexed.
But you
I'm
are,
always
but
flexed.
Here's the thing, though. It's funny because Leon described you earlier. Before we even early, so the beauty of this conversation is what Leon is saying, which is much of the issue that women are running into is that they advocated for something that turned around and bit them in the ass. They OD'd on being self-interested, forgetting that they're eventually going to want to couple up and marry a man of means at the worst 60-40 split, and that's at the worst with them grinding their teeth to dust. But they prefer at least 70-30 on up, right? And they OD'd on themselves, and now it's time, especially for us as millennials, to get married. And guess what? They're pissed. Women, bro, Latinas, black women, white women, all of them that don't come from upper middle class and above situations, because they've been able to insulate themselves. That's why I get so mad when FD and Kim Foster talk. But everybody else south of that 80% line, those women are livid because they benefited from the largesse of the system and of white feminists and all this other stuff. And now it's time to get married as millennials, and now they throwing a fit. This is where Ebony K. Williams come in.
Hey, that's why I was saying the whole 100K shit is full of shit. It's not even that number really. It's not that number really. It's just the ability to be free and take care of yourself. It's literally
the
number.
Hey, I'm gonna just tell y'all how to do it, man. This is how I'm gonna tell you. Regardless if I made 30,000 or more, whatever, it's about how you manage your money, right? It's about how you manage your money, right? I can make $5 look like $50, man, right? And that's where we fall into, the order of men and how they apply order to their lives, their personal lives, as well as their extended lives or family, right? You gotta be able to manage your money and enjoy it. Look, man, I done been all over the country, on a Harley, man. I'm out here, brother.
Yeah, he retired. He got the big boy. He got the fat boy.
Yeah, hey, man,
I know this nigga, man. I know this man.
I'm saying, man.
And Mrs. Zeno, I got the 1,000 in the garage.
I'll leave y'all with the crotch rockets. You and Gold Pika have the crotch rockets. I'm straight off of that.
Man. I ride a Harley with
you're right.
back bars, and this is my third
have
one.
The bikes. Y'all can have. I'm over here in 4 wheels with the T-top and the twin turbos. That's what I'm doing, right?
Hey, and shout out to my guy D. I know you was complimenting, sir. Hey, I rock with D, man, my guy.
Man.
But look, man, I'm just saying, man. Look, when you have an understanding of your position, when you know your worth and you know who you are, man, well, shucks, man, can't nobody be mad at you. That's what Leon
is talking about. Yeah, that's what Leon is speaking about. Yeah, and that's what the lady said. As he said, like, they hate the fact that we, especially for men, especially for like me and Leo, like in our 30s, we are rightish, right? And like we could choose, and they hate that we could tell. What's like you were saying, Gopi? They hate that we could tell them no, and we won't feel nothing. They hate that feeling of I ain't gonna do that. Like that feeling, they hate it.
Look, man, I'm gonna just tell you, men. See, it goes back to what I originally said. When they literally see that they're losing, right? Yeah. When they literally see this, you can say, well, look, you started out as the rabbit, you was gone, but that turtle. That turtle that caught up and passed you, right?
Hey, here's a question, and after this, we gotta let Neighbor go. We speak about in our society oftentimes how men can't handle rejection, men in rejection, right, women are scared to reject men, blah blah blah, etc., etc. Y'all already know this question is coming. Can women handle rejection? What the hell is everyone talking about?
No. Look,
Right?
it's because men are used to rejection, right?
Yeah.
Men are accustomed to rejection. We know it's not only from the females, it's from jobs, it's from
Exactly.
our parents, is from, when we get on that team and we have to ride the bench versus coach letting us into the game. Yeah.
And the no's are harsh. And the
These
no's are harsh.
rejections. So we become callous. We become callous, right? We become toughened. We're toughened to the word rejection. Now, on the other side of that, when you're born to say no, right? You're born to reject. You know, now all of a sudden you start, hey, look, how many times have I said keep that same energy? Look, man, I am right about this. Keep that same energy, because now the turtle is in the lead, right? No, you can't catch up to me. No, you can't have this. No, you can't do that. No. Hey, I'm telling you guys, I'm gonna push out. Look, get your PhD in noology. That's what you do.
And I'm just gonna tell them.
I hate that this rhymes too, but go ahead.
That's what I'm gonna tell them. I learned how to say no because I didn't grow up in a black community. I grew up in a fascist, authoritarian, military family. You know what I'm saying? You see. And that's where I was trying to.
I grew up Haitian descent, so no is just a way of life. It's just.
Well, that's not what I mean. This is what I'm saying is like when you don't grow up in a black community, you grow up on a base, and you grow up in Germany, then you grow up in Spain. You're not. The first time I went to the black community was Mississippi to stay with my aunts.
Yeah,
and I told my mom something's wrong here. She's like, well, it's just.
As a kid, you already knew it. You could feel it.
Yeah. And then I went to Chicago, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Then we lived our base in Virginia, in Texas for the first time. I was like, Mom, I would never date these black girls. She's like, no, it's because they're poor and this and that and blah, blah, blah over. I said, Mom, these girls talk wild. I was like, they don't talk like this here. She's like, it's because living on post gives you a false identity of life. You get the Martin Luther King idea because all the kids are playing. Y'all say girls can be out at night at 8 o'clock without worrying about getting, R-worded or, some cartel snatching them up. So we have that. Yeah. So he understands how I grew up and why I can easily say fucking no. Because I try to tell people it's because I'm a military brat. I didn't grow up around that shit. I don't perceive it as normal.
Yeah. Hey, look, man. Military, look, man. Military shows you quite a bit, man. And my father was military. My uncles, that's how you're more familiar with me, Leon, man. Because I was military. I've been. Hey. So, hey, look, man. Get your no. All right. Get your PhD in noology. That's for all you brothers. That's for all you brothers.
I got it.
Hey, get your PhD in noology. All right, I've been had mine. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's the best degree. That degree, that's the most usable degree on earth. You know what I'm saying? You can use that degree in any field.
and you could say it in multiple ways. No,
in multiple ways. You can say right. No, hell no. I said no. I ain't gonna tell you no more.
First of all,
go ahead, Neighbor. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm pretty much into the Tasmania devil up here, yo. But anyway,
go ahead.
I have to ask you a question. Since you're talking about saying no, does the name Bishop Bullwinkle come to mind? Go, Professor.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
You ever heard of a man named Bishop Bullwinkle? He died back a couple years ago. Go to Snowman in the Morning. Because remember, they would bring up the song "Hail to the Nah Nah," and this was a
right.
So that you gotta also mention that sometimes. Whenever they ask you, you gotta go "Hell no to the Nah Nah Nah." Hail to the Nah, hail to the Nah,
right.
Nah. But anyway, I guess I'm the only dick because everybody is a bunch of assholes up in here. But then again, yes, I'm a dick. I'm a massive pissing people off, so fuck everybody. Yeah, I'm a cuss. And you guys talk about being military shit. Hell, y'all, if you or Go Professor to Leon, look at my avatar. You know what that is.
That's a castle.
You know what that? No. That's,
what is it?
No. What is? That's the United States Army Corps of Engineers.
Oh, it is. That's right. That is.
My father was in there.
Army.
My dad was USACE, okay? USACE, all right? So I understand y'all military shit, and y'all talk about authoritarian shit. I was born in an absolute monarchy with Sharia law. But I come from a country that has an authoritarian state. So I understand the whole thing about know this, know that. You are black and African. You know, no. Anywhere you go, no. No, and on top, and sometimes that no also sometimes means nigga. In some, so I know fucking no. I grew up in told no. In all kinds of ways. So I learned how to say no to a lot of people. But like to relate to what Leon said, when I went back home to my native Eritrea and going back to school and some shit, I realized there was something wrong with certain people like that because I understood they were coming out of. What I say? Wait. You laughing because you know it's the truth, motherfucker. That's all I'm gonna say. But understand the dysfunction and people having this misconception about shit. Even like Mr. Z talked about how our generation was the target of. RO, why'd you have to mention Uncle Foot? That's what we call the former mayor of Chicago, Uncle Foot.
Hysterical. But go ahead, Damon. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying. Go ahead.
But like I'm trying to say is like, first of all, for a lot of us men, you know, and like I mentioned this before to you, Z, you know, like how we're a lot of millennials are it's gonna be a lot of people are gonna be broken by the whole way things are going. The only people who are not already are broken. I'm already broken. I know that because I got most of the screws in my head are loose about this shit. But it is what the fuck it is. We're gonna have to learn to say no, but we also have to learn when to just walk the fuck away. Don't interact with certain people. If you observe some people just a certain way, and if you feel it in your gut so long, because sometimes you gotta trust your gut and just get the fuck out of that situation. Some of us
I think young millennials and Gen Z are doing that now. I think that's why you see the videos of the girls crying in their parents' car, crying in their car. I think the high schoolers and the early college year, black men in particular, and the black boys, I think they're doing that now.
Hey, you know what? Before you walk away, you tell them no first, and then walk away.
No. You tell them no. No.
You tell them no.
I hear y'all, but I think the ghost move is the best move. So the ghost move is because the no acknowledges that you heard or saw them. I think the ghost move is the best because it's there's something about the ghost move to me that's so powerful in the indifference, in the damn, does he even know I exist? Like, I think there's something about the ghost move is undefeated to me. I love the shadow. I call it the shadow move. The shadow move of just not even acknowledging the person's presence is just beautiful.
Listen. Go ahead.
But listen, Mr. Z. Look, when you implement that word no, I mean, you can ghost them, but they know you said no.
True. Yeah. True.
The ghost
they
is
know
powerful.
You said no, bro.
the ghosting women part is powerful because you don't give them an option to even understand why. You know what I'm saying? Understand why. Then it's not like, hey, we're breaking up and she questions you and then, she drops some ass off your way and she's still laying in your bed. So ghosting women is just straight up like, oh, she knows that she can't negotiate anything with you or shame you or anything. You block her, she says no. She might go on social media like a few of my exes did that I ghosted and talk shit about me, but it is what it is. I don't respond. It's power.
This wasn't exactly
pure power.
This wasn't exactly a ghost move, but it spoke to me. And I don't know if y'all ever seen the video of the young lady. She has a, talk about Jeep Cherokees. She has a Jeep. She drove it up on the curb on the front of the house, and you see her get out, and she's calling this brother's name, and she's knocking on the door. He finally comes out. They talk, and she's crying. She's bawling because she cheated on him. 8-year relationship down the drain, and she's begging, y'all. She's loud. She's saying, "You're embarrassing me," and she's really embarrassing herself. But she's pleading, and this nigga's giving her like 1-word answers, and you could like, I don't even know why this brother even came outside, but he came outside and he's giving her 1-word answers, and she's holding, she grabbed his arm and she's holding on, and that nigga took his arm back and closed the door, and she like fell out for a second, and then she got herself together and got back in the Jeep, and I'm saying that to say like that's the type of indifference I think Black men need to have, really, for the whole system, if we're going to be honest, but for certain sisters, for the entire system, for the Democratic Party, for all of these institutions that took us for granted and these people that took us for granted. I think our indifference is so powerful. I think these people think their indifference is far more powerful than it is. I don't think they really understand how much they've been showing us their ass for the past few decades. And so they think that they're going to do what? Show us their ass even more. I think they don't really realize we ain't really make no moves. And so the indifference is where the power is. Go ahead.
Hey, look, this goes back to what I originally said. Relish in that word no. Love it. Yeah. Hold on to it. Embrace it. Keep that same energy, right? I'm saying you win it. Okay, yeah, you can say no, then ghost them. Because at some point you had some interaction with them, right? But when they know, that word no is the pinnacle of your life. You love it. You love it like you love water. Okay. Oh, then you win it. I'm trying to tell y'all.
Let me come in. I can't, Mr. Z. I can't make this shit up about his archetype, bro. I can't make it up, bro.
Yeah.
He literally.
I know.
Yo, Leon, come on, man. By the way,
go ahead, David. Go ahead, please. I'm about to close out in like a minute. Go ahead. Mr. Z gotta go get ready for life. I got work today. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, get in the trunk, because that's the only way I can get you down memory lane on this one. If you want to talk about, being different and saying no, if you might remember a couple of clips, I remember it was a few years back. No, not COVID. Relax. It was this clip I remember. It was Steve Wilkos. Do you remember with the paternity test, just like Maury Povich? He showed one of those, but there was one that BJ showed. It was it was Steve Wilkos. It was the girl was like being all up mighty and shit about, oh, you're gonna be on child support when they found out, and when it turned out the brother was not the father of the child, and then she just ran out, and then when he was walking out, wait, how different he was. She was like, "Please, let me have a kid. Let me please. I promise I won't be so bad. I promise." And he was just completely ice cold and indifferent because he knew the shit. Yeah. That's how you have to be. Just like some brothers, they were like, now, some dudes, whenever they found out, they weren't the father, they start jumping, doing dance, break dancing, hopping, celebrate. I hate this shit. Except that one time, one dude, he kind of snapped. Because I remember there was one clip of some brothers, they can't do the cold shit because, like, when you hurt them a certain way, they snap and they become like a dog, as Ron Wills explained. I remember seeing that, like, this one guy started to snap. Some people get broken by that, and then they turn into, like, those heartbreakers and shit. So there's some people who can be cold and say no, like Professor Kid says, but there's some people who just can't. It's not in them. They're not built that way, and and their breaking point is a lot closer.
Real quick, Nima. Real quick, D. The link is in the. I just put the link down for the clip that I was describing. So for all of you, y'all go ahead and watch that. And to me, I didn't actually laugh. Like, I giggled at first, but then it was kind of heartbreaking. But it was like, damn, you threw away an 8-year-long relationship because you want to. And of course, she didn't want to claim. They still try to find excuses and not own it and not be accountable. She was like, he came on to me, and you're gonna throw away an 8-year-long relationship, and it's like, bro, like, yes, you cheated. Like, they don't really get it. For me, it'd be final for a lot of this shit. Like, nah, you messed up. It's final. I'm done. right? But anyway,
Yeah.
the link is. I just put the link down. Go ahead.
No sympathy, man. No,
Yeah.
no.
I get it.
Hey, man. It's funny, but it's kind of heartbreaking because it's like, damn, it's like I said, like, it's like watching a niece or nephew. You told them not to do this one thing, and they did it, and they got caught by your brother or your sister, and now they gotta get them hands on them, and you're like, I tried to tell you.
Look,
I tried
man.
to tell you. It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad hearing you cry in the other room, but hey, I tried to tell you. Go ahead.
Look, man. We as brothers, we've experienced going through them hardships, man. And the inevitable is becoming hardened to situations like that. When you've been hitting your head, do you want to be hitting your head again? No, you don't. No. So what do? You put a helmet on, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And hope that you can make better decisions. What I'm saying is you protect yourself from, if you attempt to, at least, from going through the hardship again, right? And many of us have experienced this. And this is, you can't be mad at us for what our decisions are when we've gotten better with our decisions, right? Nobody wants, brothers especially, we don't want to constantly get our hearts tore up because we engaged the relationship in good faith. We came to the relationship in good faith, man.
Yeah.
Right? And was misused.
Yeah.
How many times? Look, man, you guys better embrace the word no. Love the word no. Hold the word no close to you like you hold your dick. Okay?
It also.
Name it. I gotta cut you off because I gotta close out. Look, I got to close out. All right, y'all. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. We're going to pause right here. Y'all have a great Indigenous and Native American Slaughter Day, and eat y'all turkey and whatever sides and stuffings and everything else y'all got. Mr. Z got to go to work in a little bit, so I gotta go chill out.
Real quick. Mr. Z, real quick. Hey, like, share, and hit the super chat.
Hit the super chat or the thank you button on the y'all. Look, I am the only one streaming. Y'all go ahead and compensate Mr. Z for his time. Hit that like, share, subscribe. Hit the super chat. If I close out too early, which I'm gonna close out in like a minute, hit the thank you button. Thank y'all for listening and y'all spending y'all afternoon, morning, because it's just now turning noon on the East Coast. So spending y'all morning with Z. And y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Will A.R. said passport for the win. And yeah, I mean, like I said, and for my closing, Swirlingonomics, FD signifier, I get it. No, when it comes to the playing down of women and their proclivities, particularly women of color, even more particularly and specifically Black women. But I gotta applaud him for getting into the weeds with certain things. And emphasizing that Black men are not marrying out, once again, not marrying out at some alarming rate. Now, we got to be honest, as the boomers start to pass away, I do think that an interracial marriage rate increases, right? So I got to be honest about that. But on that note, we will close out, and y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Mr. Z out. All right, everyone.
Everybody above Razcast, Nature's a Threat while you're at it. Out of here.